I gave her. I researched these topics because I'm very passionate about men who use title and power and who now, unfortunately, because of social media being so accessible, use those titles and use that clout to then slide my DM, young, vulnerable, even adult vulnerable women to then go on ahead and sexually abuse them. One of the things I want to say, Simba, is the daddies, they're very strategic. They groom. Grooming takes time. When you see people like R. Kelly, people like what is the name of this? Bill Cosby, finally getting arrested, it doesn't happen overnight, right? I see a lot of people questioning the work that you've been doing. And I think as Zimbabweans, we have reached a point where, I'm sorry, there's a train here. If you can't hear me, I'll keep speaking.
No, we can hear you perfectly. Just go ahead, shoot. Yeah.
A lot of our community, I'm very saddened by the status of Zimbabwe right now, is that we have a toxic culture of socialitism. I'm making up terms here. We have a culture of not critically really analyzing things. And unfortunately, things are always boiled down to drama. True ones are drama, right? Simba, we beef na hope. Comfort, you're a bitter ex for hope. It's not about that. It's about
Lynn is a bitter ex here, hope. So and so is a bitter ex here, hope.
And so even you have to ask the question, why are we bitter if we're his exes? Why are we bitter? Why are all the women who have associated with him bitter? So I just wanted to put context to this topic as you guys continue with this conversation, which I will try to join maybe on top of the hour if you're still here on my lunch break. But I wanted to say daddyism is a real thing. Mukaona kuma church, men like so-called Prophet Magaya, and there's a array of women who are coming and saying we were sexually abused. Again, what is it called, daddy? Simba, you're working with BBC on TB Joshua. What were those women calling him? Daddy. So if you're on this platform and you've got daughters that you love, if you're on this platform and you've got a wife, if you're on this platform, if you're one day planning to have children, we have to start taking some of these things very seriously. Why, you may ask, why am I very passionate about going against men who commit sexual violence? Because sexual violence, the violation of a woman herself, is the violation of generations. It's a violation of a woman's soul. It's not that the sexual act that is not consensual is not just a bad thing. Morally, it is. And it is also a violation to the spirit of those women. It is a violation of how that woman moves after the fact. How she shows up to you as a girlfriend, how she shows up to you as a workmate at work. And so I think we have a really serious problem here, Simba, that I think we should talk about this. And with that being said, I will yield my mic and say, Zimbabweans, let's stop taking everything to be drama, because this is real life. These are real people affected. And when we start having people amidst us who want to call themselves daddy, we have to ask what is their objective of being called daddy? What is that? And I want you guys to go on your Google search. I want you to go on your AI search and see the history of the men who have historically called themselves daddy and some of their traits in how they have violated women. So Puff is now in jail. So we move on to the next. And for me, I have a vision. I have a dream of my own home country not clapping hands and giving podiums and platforms and really giving clout to such individuals. I say,
you have a dream. You have a dream of a Zimbabwe without daddy characters.
Yeah, I have a dream of a Zimbabwe without daddy characters, and when we identify them, these are my words, Simba. And with that being said, I'm gonna step out and go back.
Wow, do you know what? I wish you were here, but it's too longer. But I wanted also to apologize to the women in our country for what Al Jazeera did, a company that I was contracted for several years, to portray this man, this other daddy, as an anti-corruption activist. This is an apology that I'm extending to all the women in the country, particularly those who have been affected, the rape victims, beginning with those that this daddy character betrayed to the military, to the army, and also those who are the multitude of complainants. It is my sincere apology that my name is on a project that I started, and yet certain people ended up involving this character and portraying him as if he is an anti-corruption activist. And they even participated in giving him a media award for anti-corruption activism, which is irresponsible. It was without my either permission or consultancy over a project, by the way, that I started alone, that I risked my own life. And some people might have seen, by the way, a story or some documents that have got an employment tribunal case that I am taking Al Jazeera to court over. It is not the only case, by the way. There are many on the very same matter that I'm taking them to court over, because I am demanding to recover my expenses. Some people didn't understand. Oh, how is it? How is it? Yes, I am taking them to court because they have violated the public. They've violated the trust that the media should be given. They've also violated my own work, because I had educated my community, the Zimbabwe and the British community, about daddy characters, and our community had actually advanced well to detect these daddy characters until they started promoting this particular daddy character, who has also been behind destroying the democratic space, destroying parliamentary democracy, and also corrupting the Zimbabwe National Army. This other daddy character that I'm talking about, called Hope Ochingon. By the way, those people who are circulating posts and the like, where he is putting my name, and he's accusing me of shutting some hospital project whatsoever. You're only doing yourself a disfavor, and you're doing yourself harm by circulating falsehoods, because the real issue is this. The real danger is this. The real danger is this daddyism. And the real matter here is also the so-called government in exile that he is trying, this daddy character is trying to assemble, and trying to destroy the opposition, trying to destroy several people, and also trying to lure multiple women. And someone would ask me, how do I know that Hopo Chingono is luring women? He is already announcing that he is a molester. He's announcing in advance whenever he uses that manipulative title called daddy. That is how dangerous the title daddy is. The title daddy, it has been proven to have the effect of disturbing the mental health, disrupting the mental health of children and vulnerable women, even stronger women. This is a scientific fact. This is a legal fact, by the way. There's case law around this. And this is why you notice I'm taking out Al Jazeera to court. In every court I'm going. And my first entrance there was the employment tribunal. Why did I go to the employment tribunal? Someone would ask. I went to the employment tribunal simply because there were two documents that were missing. Number one, and what happened was, when they were trying to disrupt me from stopping them from endangering the public using this daddy character, Hopo Chingono, they started flagging the employment matter to shut me up. So they would say, you are an employee. You are an employee. So you must shut up. And when you need another, and this is what the producer wrote to me, on the 20th of October 2023. Now I'm giving you all these V11 so you can also keep them, all these documents. So they actually said to me, keep quiet over that matter. And if you want references, employment references, next time we'll write the employment references. That was on the 20th of October 2023. And of course, I said to myself, that is nonsense. But I wanted to use that very same documentation so that I can force them to release the other documentation, which I'm taking them to court. And by the way, ndiri kuenda kwakacheka mvura, kunonzi kwakacheka mvura makumbo. Ndizvo, how do we say it in Shona? Ndiri kuenda navo ikoko, because a media company should behave better. Media personnel should behave better, especially when it's regarding vulnerable people. This particular daddy character called Opochingono is a very, very dodgy man, not just a small dodgy person. Very, very dodgy man. That the only thing that he has is just the ability to write, to type, to communicate, and to confuse people. Chete, chete, chete. Everything else is emptiness. Everything else is thuggery. Not today, not this year, not last year, since 1989. And his activities are on fire. Opochimono's activities are on fire. Everything else, journalism, activism, everything else is just a cover, including the whole health, this and that. Healthcare, there's going to be providing free healthcare to Zimbabwe. We're going to be doing this. Oh, ZANU-PF is corrupt. So is corrupt. All those things are a cover up for daddyism. They are a cover up. Everything else is a cover up for daddyism. As you can see, we are now seeing it, Zimbabweans. In law enforcement in the United States, they've pounced on another daddy character. This is not the first daddy character, by the way, that law enforcement in the US are pouncing on. My daddy character, they've been pounced on by law enforcement for a very long time. People didn't know this. Even in biblical times, daddy characters were there. That's why you see, even if those who read the Bible, Jesus said it. Don't call anyone on earth daddy. Have you seen that verse? Have you seen that Bible verse? Those who are Christians here. Huh? Have you seen? Have you seen that Bible verse? Those people who believe, you actually call this young man uyu akatadza kupinda pamaubra hai uyu akakonzeresa pamaubra hai in 1989 akakonzeresa kusvika kuda kudzinga headmaster akamupinza chikoro pamaubra hai asingaqualify for ma-A level uyu ndowamunoti dhadhi iye uyu munhu uyu anototaura ega nemuromo wake ega iye kuti akadla mari illicit money yaakatora from Britain yaakatenga imba yake yekuchisipitiya achicontradicta his own account yekuti I bought that house from Cab's money, Cab's mortgage. Yeah, and he literally saying it himself. Munhu anokuudza kuti shut up because you don't have a house, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have medical aid. Keep quiet. It's me who is supposed to tell you. And then when you then ask him, okay, oh, thank you very much. You've got a house. So tell me, how did you buy your first house? Help me because I'm also your age. I'm also 53. I'm also 54. And I never got such a house. I never got such a Cab's mortgage. How did you get your Cab's mortgage? And then that very same person tells you that he actually got this house from money that he took from a non-existent British sports car loan, 50,000. It's him who is saying so. Ndiye ari kutaura ega iye hopo. Ari kukuudza kuti iye, contrary to what I told you, that I got this property from a Cab's mortgage and I got this property from Zimbabwe money, when the economy was so well, 2001, he is actually telling you that he actually got it from illicit British funds. He says, I got it from a sports car loan of year 50,000, year 1996, a car that Dr. Tendai Maporeke told me to sell, so that I can buy my Chisipiti home. So when he says this, what exactly is he saying? what exactly he is saying is that he got it from illicit British funds. Because you asked me for then ask him for the name of that British bank or that British um, um, dealership that he gave him that 50,000 sports car, and he can't even name it. He can't name it because it doesn't exist. And even if it existed, it would still be illicit funds because it means he sold a car that doesn't belong to him. So can't you see that this man is dodgy? He's dodgy in every way. And also look at the term daddy. What does the term daddy tell you? Haven't you seen case now? You've so many cases, case laws here of individuals, men who are manipulative, who manipulate vulnerable children, vulnerable women, using the daddy title, and they confuse people. They claim that they're actually helping the women. They speak, and they're the only ones who must speak. Everyone else must shut up. Can't you see that these people, from case laws that you have noticed there? Can't you see that these men, they destroy the public? So Zimbabweans, I'm just letting you know, particularly to the victims, the purpose of this program is to alert the women who were manipulated by Hope Ho-Chingono, to alert you and empower you with knowledge that I am pursuing Al Jazeera Media Network. I'm saying it in public right now because it is a public matter. Because the media company is supposed to be doing this to protect the public, not to be protecting someone who's already announced to the public that they are a rapist. So that is shame. A media house that protects characters who are puff daddies, who are daddy hopes, whoever, my daddy this, daddy that, that media company, shame on them. And people need to make a demand because these people, they're dangerous. How on earth do they claim that such a person is an anti-corruption activist? Empowering them so that they can destroy communities. And hear me, Zimbabweans. Hear me, Zimbabweans. You have seen how much work I've done for not just to help the Zimbabwean people, the African community, the continent. Look at that investigation that they took from me. An investigation that I did on my own, that I could have been killed over. And when you see that, then you understand what sacrifice that we have given. And now you see the violation. How these women feel when they see media companies protecting a daddy character. How do these women feel? Well, I want to let you know, you ladies, that you're not alone. As you can see, the world is watching. Investigators are watching. It doesn't matter how flashy someone is, even if someone has met Joe Biden or they've met Donald Trump. That does not in any way protect them from legal liability. You've seen this Puff Daddy person, an extremely rich man, being arrested and law enforcement working there. You've seen the likes of Walter Masocha, who Hope Chingono tried to exchange a victim in 2014. Jean Gasho, Google Jean Gasho, Hope Chingono. Jean Gasho was one of the first female activists to expose the daddy characters. When you look at Jean Gasho's struggles right now, many of her struggles right now, where do they come from? They come from the daddy characters. Hopo Chingono lied to Jean Gasho that he wanted to interview her when what he wanted was an affair, using journalism to lure women. And when you look at that, when you see that, you understand why and how women end up in that state. and why it's important for a community to stand to protect the vulnerable. Now, I want to honor some of our upfront, I don't know if I can call them activists, academics. Oh, there's a gentleman who's just joined the stream, Hulu. Thank you for coming in, Hulu. Hulu was one of the first people in our community at a time when the entire community, Yavana Jamisa, were watching. That was 2 years ago, 2022. And they were actually praising this daddy character. No, 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 my brother, we've got to honor people like you because Mune foresight. Dimi mimi but not Dimi custodians. Dimi in the future. In the future, you are the type that must be put into leadership. Hulu. We need people like you. We need women also like you who have that character, who have that foresight to protect the public, to protect particularly vulnerable women from dirty characters. Now look at this. What you started, Hulu, 2 years ago when you called me for that interview. By the way, you also spotted Joseph Kalimba. You're the first, by the way. On Joseph Kalimba, you beat me, by the way, Hulu. You beat me on Joseph Kalimba. I was so dumb. I mean, I remember I used to even fight you in the social spaces, and you said something that Joseph Kalimba must be visited in Zambia. He's nothing, and I didn't believe you until I went myself and I saw it for myself there in Zambia. How much he's a scammer. But I'm saying on Hopo Chingono, you were the first Zimbabwean. You know, vafana vese community ava vekuona Chamisa, vekuona vana Biti and the like, all of them, they were busy dancing up, wagging their tails to Hopo Chingono, helping Hopo Chingono to abuse women. And so, yeah, this is what's happening. We just had to do this space to try, and we'll do more. We would like to try and encourage women who are complainants. I'll use the term complainants for now. I know there are actually some who are true rape victims who have proven that they are rape victims. Not just me, but even UN rapporteurs have proven that they are victims of Mr. Obochimono. But I'll just use for now the term complainants. So it's to assure you that you're not alone, that atina kukotsira, atina kumbonyarara, tiri proceed. And we are having here Comfort Dondo, one of our NGO directors based in the United States, where this Puff Daddy case is ongoing, and just giving us context. She's just left briefly, and she'll come back later on. But we're hoping to have more such activists who help to protect our community. If our women are raped and we keep quiet, who is going to be the mother of our children? Who is going to raise children when the women are so beaten down, dejected, rejected, and looked down upon, manipulated by society and by daddy characters? Hulu, good evening.
How are you, Simba?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you very much. Once again, I'm just appreciating you, brother. You know, the things that you have done for our community. Look at what it's doing. One of these days, it could even contribute to the science of identifying daddy characters.
Yeah, thank you very much, Simba, and thank you to the audience. It is, of course, a developing story. It is a developing story. I have always been interested in finding out the truth about issues. I've always been seeking the truth about issues, but of course, I'm not a god, and many others who are seeking to get the truth about our country, they are not gods. They are human beings, and they simply wake up every day, every morning, to try to find a way of making our country better. One of the things that caught my eye, was the issue of Week Neil Chivayo. The time when Week Neil was given a tender for the Gwanda Solar Project. I was one of those people who was very scathing about Weak Neil. For time and time again, I spoke against Weak Neil, and I felt that he was getting unfair preferential treatment. Treatment when it came to the issues of tenders. Something that I believed was, is a critical component of competitive bidding in our country. Something that can anchor our economy if we can have a fair bidding process where you see the best are selected for work that should be done by the government, where tenders become something that can be used as a tool of empowering our people. And I know when I started speaking against, Weak Neil, there were many friends who thought that maybe I was jealous of Weak Neil Chivayo. And many people came even in my inbox and say that, what is wrong with you? Why do you have to target this man? Look, he's a philanthropist. Look, he's giving cars. And we saw even groups of Varakashi themselves, celebrating receiving cars from Weak Neil Chivayo. But I think that today, everybody can attest to the fact that Weak Neil, without a measure of a doubt, has been proven to be somebody that is not good for Zimbabwe. The way he shows off money, the way he uses money, the way he gets those tenders running for him is a matter of great concern. We have seen him even, I think, was it yesterday, showing off at Wembley Stadium. And yet the majority of our people are struggling to just get basics going. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to be aware of the fact that time and time again, we did ask Weak Neil in terms of where are his workers with all the gifts that he was giving out, the cars he was giving out. At no stage did he ever at one point showed up with somebody who is like his accountant or anybody that has helped his companies to make money and give them anything. We've never seen Weak Neil with his workers. Even the pictures that you have seen him take, he has never taken any pictures with any workers. The only notable picture that he took was when they were cutting grass at Gwanda Solar Project. And I don't think that us as a country, we need that. I don't think that we need that. We need better. We need better, and we must, at every given opportunity, when we see something troubling our nation, raise the alarm so that our people can be able to remember. Many of you have seen me talk a lot about Weak Neil these days, but I spoke about Weak Neil at a time when it was necessary to do so, to show our people that this man's activities are not good for Zimbabwe. And it is up to our people with that kind of information then to say, at least we know. At least we know. For those who are Christians, today is a Sunday, you know what even Jesus himself said. He said, I'm telling you these things before they happen, so that when they happen, you can believe that, I'm a prophet. You can believe that I'm a son of God. So, like I said again, it is not like you have prophetic insight or prophetic powers that you can be able to gaze into the future and come up with, okay, so this is something. But I want people to remember again, you saw me traveling on the streets of Zimbabwe, and I took videos. If you can go to my TL, and I spoke about the issue of the Zimbabwe ZIG. I mentioned to our people that the ZIG, I believe, is yet another scam. It is another problem. I spoke time and time again about the auction system at the Reserve Bank. Can you imagine a system which the majority of our people are excluded completely? And those companies that bid for the money at the auction never get it. Can you imagine that? And yet, many of you know the fluctuating, exchange rates of currencies. Currencies fluctuate every single day. So can you imagine you going to bid for Forex at the Reserve Bank? For companies, individuals had no opportunity to do so. For companies that went to the Reserve Bank to bid for Forex, and they want, say, for example, to retool, and you don't even get that money for many weeks. Do you know, ladies and gentlemen, that up until now, companies that were bidding on the forex exchange at the Reserve Bank, some of them have not received that money up until now. The Reserve Bank and our government have been issuing now treasury bills to such people. You see? And these people are people who went to bid to get forex, and they never got it up until now. Many, many months after the forex system, the auction system was stopped. I spoke about it and I said it is a scam. I went, if you go to my timeline, a few months ago, when after the introduction of the ZIG, and I interviewed Zimbabweans on the streets. They say they've never seen the ZIG. And I say to myself, surely this is a scam. Because if ordinary Zimbabweans have never touched that currency, they don't use it. Nobody accepts it. At the market. Surely it can only be working for a few people. We cannot have an economy that works for a few people. Hopo Chingono, despite many criticisms on Simba Chikanza, I sat with Simba Chikanza myself. I sat with Comfort Londo. I listened through to other people who spoke about Hopewell. It's very rare, ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you, to find me coming up and talking about somebody when there is nothing really that I've had. I have time to listen. I studied. I went to school as well. And I taught even other people in both in a class and in a practical lessons to learn when somebody is speaking to me in terms of, are they telling me the truth or there's some lies in here? I listened for many hours to people who had interactions with Hopo Chingono. I was convinced that they were telling the truth. And then I had an opportunity to listen to Hopo Chingono speak in spaces. I had opportunities to study his tweets. And I personally never got convinced that Hopo Chingono was speaking the truth. For those who might have a doubt, I want those who have studied Hopo Chingono's tweets themselves, those who have listened to him, how he has been posting even about cancer machines for Zimbabwe. In most cases, ladies and gentlemen, you notice that he exaggerates a lot. He will tell you that, according to my sources, the ministers, I was talking to ministers in the government, I was talking to presidents in SADC, and those presidents have told me this and that. I was speaking to James Maika, who is the deputy head of Google. I was speaking, he name drops a lot. Recently, if you study Hopo Chingono's tweets, he said that the United Nations invited him to Tanzania. I want you to ask yourself a simple question. Why would the United Nations really, the whole of Zimbabwe and all the Zimbabweans that we know, invite Hopewell only to a meeting in Tanzania? How does that work? Does it really make sense? So when he picked up his idea of a government in exile, I listened to it when he pitched that idea. And I saw clearly that what those people that I had interviewed, those people that had talked to me were saying was true. Because Hopewell is all about him. It is all about him showing off to Zimbabweans, all about him trying to prove that he's the smartest guy around, all about him trying to prove to people that he has knowledge about Zimbabwe's government, he has knowledge about this and that, he's much clued up with things. The moment he now raised his hand, Hopewell Chingono, and said, I am now going to run a hospital. I'm going to run a clinic. That's where I started to have a lot of interest. Because we all know what, Advocate Nelson Chamisa ended up stepping aside in his Citizen Coalition for Change. Party. We've seen Douglas Monzora saying rah, 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 rah. We have seen even this one who has been incarcerated for such a long time, Job Scholar. trying to run his own political movement. Tendai Biti tried also to run his own political movement. Jacob Ngarivume. We have got many people, including Uza, and we have got, the lawyers like Love Moma Dukri and all that. They all tried to run their political parties, including Margaret Dong, or including Dr. Joshua Nkomo and many others. It has never been easy to run a political party in Zimbabwe and succeed to win against ZANU-PF. But Hopewell Chimono has been criticizing people such as Nelson Chamisa and behaving as if he is way better in terms of understanding the Zimbabwean terrain. But you know what? He ran his hospital, his clinic, the so-called clinic, for less than 2 days. And the clinic never got any patients. He paraded the name of a doctor, a certain doctor. I'm forgetting the name of the doctor now. But he paraded Maboreke, who is running a medical center in Zimbabwe. And if you look at it, you are going to find out that this is the same doctor that Hopewell used in terms of the name of, his name again some years back. And the doctor, if you go to his timeline, he's actually on Twitter. I was studying the timeline of that doctor. The doctor is beholden to Hopewell. The doctor tweets only about Hopewell. He reposts Hopewell things and things like that. Just go to Dr. Maboreke's timeline, guys, and you can observe what that doctor stands for nothing except promoting Hopewell Chimono's things. And Hopewell said that doctor will be the supervisor in his own words. He said he's going to be the supervisor of that medical center. Now, if you check, Hopewell had already given us information that he himself, Hopewell, has contributed over millions of medical supplies to Zimbabwe. This is the truth, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to check on his timeline. Now, ask yourself this. There was a time when Hopewell actually accused the Nelson Chamisa-led Citizen Coalition for Change, which was running the seat of Harare when Advocate Nelson Chamisa was still the leader of the Citizen Coalition for Change then, of not taking his own medical supplies that he had gotten from the United Kingdom. He called them, hearing. I'll remember the actual word. He criticized them. He said that he brought them from the UK and he wants to donate to Zimbabwe's hospitals, and the Zimbabwean government refused to take them. And he said then, why would the opposition clinics, because remember the state of Harare runs clinics, why did they not take those medical supplies? But here we have Dr. Maboreke, who is actually Hopewell Chimono's agent. Is a doctor operating in Zimbabwe with a medical center that we all know. If you check the list of the services that Hopewell said the people will be getting there, there is no cancer machine there at that medical facility. Those machines, the machines that he said he got from the United Kingdom, they are not there at that medical facility. And yet Hopewell claims that he organized millions of medical supplies to go to Zimbabwe. And he criticized the state of Harare for refusing to, I don't know whether he called it refusal. He said they are not cooperating and things like that. You would assume that he could easily just take those medical supplies and give them to Maboreke, who is actually the agent of Hopewell, a doctor operating with a medical center in Harare. Surely that is very easy. So Hopewell Chimono had the best opportunity to prove to Zimbabweans that he can run something. And that something that he could run on his own is his medical facility. He said in Salani's space that I will never talk about Nelson Chamisa again because now I have got my own thing. I can even play that for you guys so you can listen up to it. But today, if you go to Hopewell's timeline, he has reverted back to talking about people, talking about other politicians. And yet he says he doesn't want anybody to talk about him. Yet he promoted his own government in exile. He is now quiet about it. He promoted his own clinic. He's not quiet about it. If you go to his timeline, he claims that I running a space and inviting Simba's cancer to come as well as Comfort Dondo made it impossible for him to run his clinic. Then go to that timeline and listen to what I said, which is something that he recorded. I simply said, if Hopewell is going to successfully manage to run this clinic, then people like Advocate Nelson Chamisa and President Emerson Mnangagwa must learn something from Hopewell. So I am going to go to that medical center so that I can see the services that are being provided at that medical center. Hopewell says that that statement was already threatening the doctors at his clinic. And by so doing, he had just decided to stop running that clinic. Ladies and gentlemen, such words that I say, can they honestly be misconstrued to mean that I'm threatening the doctors? I'm threatening the wealth of the doctors? How often have you guys seen me going to that facility? I flew to that facility in Johannesburg where we had the ZEC tender scandal. You saw me at the gates. And even Chimama ended up going there as well. You saw Chimama posting that. It's just a matter of proving to the people that this project is indeed real, is genuine. There's over 70-year-olds are being treated at a medical facility run by Dr. Maboreke, and Dr. Maboreke is a supervisor of that medical facility. And there are people that Hopewell claimed were even coming from overseas to work at that hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a complete lie. He was simply lying for likes on social media. The same lies that he tells you when he over-exaggerates, where he posts a picture of a woman giving birth in a field, and that woman is from Ghana. You know, the childish stuff that we do just for likes here and for some interaction on social media, not real things. Hopewell Chingono does not have anything in his hands that he can say, look, I have run this project in the interest of the people, and this project is sustainable, it is working. To prove to us that he has got capacity to lead. He has got capacity to build a culture of doing things. He has got capacity to run reward systems in that culture that people follow him. And he has got capacity to allocate resources, which are the challenges that we face as a country. Our country faces a problem of leadership. As Nelson Mandela said it, the death of leadership. That is why, even recently, a few days ago, you had people feeling better when VP Chiwenga said, corruption has become a threat to our national security. Those are the words that we want to hear from our leaders. We want to hear those words because corruption indeed to show evidence on a tweet. And that was all. So we cannot, as grown-ups, guys, we are grown-up. We are all over 18, over 30, over 40, others over 50, over 60. Surely we cannot be sitting down and be told that I'm proposing a government in exile. I'm proposing an NGO so that I can help our people. But turn around after only 2 days and you say, no, I'm no longer going to run that project because somebody opened a Twitter space and already the doctors are being threatened, and then I'm going to reject it. And yet, his own words, he claims that he spoke to the government of Zimbabwe, and the government of Zimbabwe had authorized him to run that clinic. How then can a Twitter space that I open and invite Simba's Cancer and Comfort Dondo become a threat to his clinic when the government of Zimbabwe had agreed that that clinic should run? Let us ask ourselves such a simple question, ladies and gentlemen. I was so disappointed. And I realized that this guy is not credible at all. He is completely not credible. He just wakes up one morning thinking about his tweet and he's just going to over-exaggerate things. He wakes up the next morning, thinks about a tweet. Well, he has got many followers. He said it. He has got over 750 something followers. So even if he's going to post something stupid, he will still have interaction because people, he has got many people that follow him. But the reality of the matter is that Hopewell Chingono, in terms of our body politic, in terms of our politics, he has absolutely nothing that I can look at and say, this is what Hopewell has done in Zimbabwe, and this is what he stands for. And I do not think that any normal Zimbabwean who is rational in thinking is able also to identify anything that they can say, look, this is what Hopewell has done. It is sustainable. Because, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. If you open a business, if you want to know whether your business is good or not, or you are a good person, you are good in terms of running your business, it's a matter of sustainability. The ability for your business to run for many years, and it continues to be there. Econet continues to be there. When you talk of Mashwede, he continues to be there. When you talk about, Sam Levy, it continues to be there. That's how you identify that this business is a business that is being run by somebody who has got the ability to run a business. So leadership, ladies and gentlemen, cannot be there without culture, a culture of doing things, without reward systems. How do you then reward those who follow what you say? And resource allocation. How do you allocate resources? So we have a classic example of Hopewell, a classic example of an individual who could have easily demonstrated to all of us that he has got capacity to run something through his clinic. This clinic was a good example, but he dropped it and is no longer running this clinic. What he's doing is has reverted back to just insulting people, attacking people, and criticizing and getting the likes that he wants by merely just criticizing people. Well, he can do that, but in terms of capacity to run something, he cannot. The last thing that I want to say, as I land, is the issue of all the people associated with Hopewell, with all the things that he has said so greatly. He will tell you about Beatrice Mtetwa. He will tell you about James Manyika. He will tell you about many big names. But he will even tell you that he speaks to presidents. There is not even a single one of those people that he name drops that have said things about Hopewell. I have never, have any of us here ever heard the president of Tanzania speaking about Hopewell Chingono? I've never heard that. I've never heard any one of the women that he says have been associated with Hopewell speaking positively about him, or even talking about, okay, Hopewell is a good person. Hopewell has been able to do that. The only person in his whole life, Hopewell Chingono, with all the things he claims, that speaks positively about him is Dr. Maboreke. Remember, he uses only one person. That's Dr. Maboreke. This is the person that gives him pictures of Pareniatwa Hospital when the lights go off there, and he posts that. When the food are being given to some patients, Dr. Maboreke just sends his friends there to take a picture. He sends to Hopewell. So all those things that you have had Hopewell talk about, the medical things and all that, it is Dr. Maboreke that is giving that information to Hopewell Chingono. And Hopewell Chingono looks like he knows a lot of things. He will wake up tomorrow and tell you and tells you this is Salim Mugabe Hospital. It is the biggest hospital, and you feel like, oh, Hopewell is very intelligent. No, there's Dr. Maboreke is an agent just working for Hopewell Chingono. He offers nothing. Hopewell Chingono works to just help this doctor to survive, help this doctor to do his work every single day. There's nothing else. He cannot mention another doctor. Ask Hopewell which doctors were going to assist those over 70 at his clinic. He cannot mention even a single name. But what he can do is he's going to tell you, I'm in Tanzania right now. I've been invited by the United Nations. You will never hear the United Nations talking about Hopewell. You will never hear, he will tell you, I've got sources at the Daily News. That you go to his timeline and check that. He said the Daily News, I've got people inside there. There's no one inside the Daily News that knows Hopewell. You will never hear any single person at the Daily News saying, oh, we know Hopewell, we've worked with him. No. What Hopewell does is he pays this guy as a doctor. He pays one journalist there, a freelance journalist, money. And then those people simply go to to find some information. They send him so he can tweet like any other person on Twitter. Then he looks and sounds big. He sounds like he knows a lot of things. There is absolutely nothing that he knows. Absolutely nothing that he has ever run. Not even a single woman that has been associated with Hopewell can stand up and say, Hopewell did something good to me. How is it possible that a man who speaks so much bad things about other people who are so quiet, like Advocate Nelson Chamisa, he has never responded to him? Like even President Idi Mnangagwa, we have never heard President Idi Mnangagwa talking about Hopewell. Every day he speaks negatively about those people, and yet he has got his own clinic that he cannot run. He has got his own government in exile that he has failed to run. He has got his own NGO. Well, he changed it to an NGO that he cannot run. Surely something is not adding up. Something is wrong with him, and he needs help. That's what I can say. And like what Simba said, there are things that I also identified. And I'm telling you right here and right now, you can bookmark it, ladies and gentlemen. I think the next scandal that we are going to have in Zimbabwe is Hopewell Shingono. I think Hopewell Shingono, just like I told you about Wicknell, just like I told you about the seed, Hopewell Shingono is the next scandal that is going to be talked about. Do not be surprised. We've heard now about P. Diddy. Diddy, what happened with Diddy? Hopewell Shingono will also be in the news for something similar. You know, when a thief comes to your house to steal and you don't catch them, you don't punish them, they'll come back again. That's what I want you to know. They will never stop. Look at those prophets who abuse women in their churches. You know, even when people talk about it, they never stop. You know, a criminal will never stop. Look at those corrupt people in our government. Those who are corrupt. Have they stopped? Has Wicknell stopped showing off simply because Mike Simombe and Moses Mpofu are in jail? By no means. Until such time when the general, VP Chiwenga, is going to stand up and say, I am jailing you, Wicknell Shivaya, because you have misused the resources of our country. That is the only time Wicknell is going to stop. No one is going to stop corruption unless and until they get caught and the justice is met. That is what I want you to know. Thieves will never stop until you catch them, and you are going to beat them up or you are going to take them to jail. That is what is going to happen with Hopewell. So if you think Hopewell is going to stop behaving the way he behaved with these ladies, you are fooling yourself. He will continue until one lady is going to come out, and that lady will be a well-known lady, and the whole story is now going to be talked about, and people are going to start saying, what Comfort Dondo told us is now true. What Comfort Dondo warned us against, we now see it. At the moment, because Comfort Dondo is just a lone voice, the other women are scared to speak. You cannot believe her message. But I know one day you are going to believe the message. You shall see that there is another lady that is going to come up, and that lady will probably be a big one, you know, and a big journalist or something like that. And they're going to say, look, this is what has happened between me and this man. That is something I want people to bookmark and to remember, that this is Hopewell Shingono's time. And Hopewell Shingono, because of his desire to be seen by people, his desire to show off to all of us that, oh, I bought a house when I was at 29. He doesn't know there's so many Zimbabweans who bought houses when they were younger than 29. He will tell you that I've got a house in South Africa, I've got a house in the UK. He doesn't know how many of us have got houses there. He has got no clue whatsoever how many Zimbabweans have got houses in the UK, how many Zimbabweans have got houses in other countries. He has got no knowledge of that. He thinks like he is the only one. You know why? Because of that selfish thing that is inside him. It will not go away. Every time when he speaks, he's always talking about, I am like this, I am like that. I am no longer going to talk about Chamisa, but after 24 hours, he has just forgotten all those words that he used. He's already talking about Chamisa. You see, he's already talking about Mnangagwa. Without talking about Mnangagwa, President Mnangagwa, without talking about Advocate Nelson Chamisa, he has nothing to offer to the people except that clinic, which he could have proved to us that he has got capacity. But the only thing at that clinic that is there is Dr. Maboreke, who is an agent of Hopewell. He is just a doctor who is there just to give information to Hopewell, and Hopewell gets money from Twitter, and he transfers the money then to this doctor. That's all. That's all. There's nothing there. Check the list of the services as I'm going to be giving Sister Comfordondo the opportunity now. The services he said are going to be offered at that clinic. None of those services have to do with all those materials he said he brought to Zimbabwe. He said he brought to Zimbabwe, medical materials. They're not there at Dr. Maboreke's medical surgery. They're not there. Nothing. Sister Comfordondo, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm all right, thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. I'm just rejoining the conversation. I had the opportunity to have a little bit mini lunch break from what I'm working on, but I'm just thankful. But thank you for putting this space together. For those who were not here earlier, we are reflecting on the daddy title and the characteristics of the people that normally call themselves daddy. There's a certain characteristic. I brought up the likes of TB Joshua. I brought up the likes of Walter Magaya. I brought up the likes of Puff Daddy, who is right now just got denied bail because, what you were saying, over time, victims have been coming forward. You see what happens with sexual abuse, sexual assault, violation of women is that there's a shaming that happens when a woman decides to speak up. I personally have already experienced that shaming on this social media. I've been called a bitter ex, right, of Hopewell's. The women that I have right now in my DM might not have the same courage to speak up. I do have this courage because this is the work that I do. I feel that it's a purpose of mine to live in a free world that is free of the hurt of women through sexual abuse. I think it's the most violation of any human being, because a woman does carry generations in her womb, and when we violate that womb space, the womb itself is a very sacred place for healing many ailments in women, not just in women. In Shona, we say mushamkat, and this is so kanamai vaga violate kwa. If young women like the ones that I know that Hopo has gone into their DM and asked them to leave their boyfriends, if they had an encounter with him and he violates them and they're still very young and just beginning their lives, how is that woman going to grow up to be someone's wife? I violate her like that. I don't understand why there's a need, in the words of Grace Mfuruta, there's a need for someone to have intimate relations with a woman who is not consenting to it. Why someone wants to first drug a woman before violating them? Why can't you just have an adult interaction? I don't understand that part, but these are the symptoms that have shown up with the likes of these daddies, such as Puff Daddy. And I want to correct some Zimbabweans who are uninformed, because I am living in the US and I'm a follower of pop culture. So Puff Daddy, his real name is Sean Combs, right? But he goes by Daddy, as others call them Daddy. And there's a power that comes with that title. There's a power dynamic that shifts when someone starts calling themselves Daddy. And then you add on the followership. That's our own Daddy, right? And I'm using Daddy in quotes. I have 700,000 followers. That's another part. They have clout. We ourselves have actually put them on that pedestal. So they get that clout, right? So it comes with privilege and power. The last victim that reached out to me when we started having this spaces, I think maybe like a month ago or so, end of August, I've shared screenshots between you and Koma Hulu. She said, I actually thought Kuti Naganda Diwa, it's the desire of any woman to find their other. But you see, these daddies, they market themselves in a way that they become very eligible bachelors, at least to the outside world, and then when they strike, and by the time they strike, after they strike, this woman is really hurting. I think it's a violation of women when we are, especially when we are in a position of leadership enough that we want to form a government in exile. We have to have integrity. Kuna mwanda kuramba vachireduce this topic we're having here. Kuti you're adults. You make your choice. But then the other party is also an adult and someone who is supposedly in a leadership role, right? A lot of young people are following him. To lie to women is not a good. It's not a good quality of a leader. And these are the characteristics that we want to continue to discuss. So some the last sister who came through, and I was saying a lot of these women will not come through. And I'll give you some statistics or some example of stories. Simone Biles, amazing global athletes, right? We saw her in the Olympics. When the doctor who was sexually abusing the other Olympians in her team, by the time he got caught, Simone was one of the last people to share her story. And you may ask yourselves, why aren't these women wanting to come forward? Because when we come forward, we're shamed. We're shamed, Zimbabwean context, we like to call the name Mama Ure, you shame victims. That's why women don't want to come forward. I have another victim who was actually a very good childhood friend, went to high school together. Smart girl. She shared me with her story. She was groomed. She was groomed for months upon months. She met Hopewell while she was going through her divorce with Beatrice Mtetwa. Hopewell realized that this woman was vulnerable, and he struck. Knowing her as my childhood friend, I know that she wouldn't really give in like that. But I think he groomed her. What is grooming? Grooming is pursuing someone in a very, very insidious ways until you win, right? But at the end of the story, she told me there was in an interaction that was not of her choice that happened. And right after the interaction happened, and I'm using this word so that some of you, it's Sunday, you might be home, you might be with your kids. I have kids, so I try to be. You know the interaction I'm talking about. After that interaction happened, he discarded her. We have confronted him. We have asked him. He denies everything. So these are the characteristics. But it's very sad.
He's accused you of using money to pay these women, and it's going to be important, I think, for tonight to answer that allegation, because some people have actually been asking such questions, and yeah, I think it's important to
Yes, Simba. Yeah, so I mean, if someone is being accused publicly in the way we are doing, I started speaking like this. And I know the repercussions that come with this, right? We've got Hopewell minions, we've got other mini Hopewells like an Ali Naka, who have been very abusive using the social media platforms. And been very abusive to me, but I can take that. I'm quite tough. And for me, I think the reason why I keep talking about it is I'm trying to hold space for my other sisters who are not yet brave enough to come forward. When Grace Mfurusa spoke, Oppo accused her of being a ZANU PF, but akatumwa ni ZANU PF. But now I'm ZANU PF, Jane. Sakadatumwa nani? Oh yeah, no. I am a bitter ex. I was never his ex. I broke it off with Hoppo right after I realized that.
Bitter ex in Richie Manch.
Oh, you're a jealous colleague.
All right, okay. Tombo say papo. What about his own employer? His own employer who used to pay him, who promoted him into a career journalism, Jeff Nyarota, the respected investigative journalist Nyarota. Arpapi. Manzi, right? Bitter, you are bitter X. Simbachi Kanza is what? Jealous journalist. Okay. And then Jeff Nyarota becomes what? His own employer.
Pamwe Nyarota, pamwe wakaita godo kuti hopo ari kumudirira out ma 700,000.
Iwo vachimpa basa vachimpa basa vachimpa basa ndipo pakazotanga kachirongwa chemaawards ipapo. That was 2009. Look at the dates, and that's 2009. Hopo at that time anga asitomborina kana one award. Go and check. If you go and see the video ra Justina Mkoko that Jeff Nyarota interviewed Justina Mkoko when she was coming out of a torture experience, as was reported back then. Opo Chingolo didn't have a single award. He didn't even have a village award at that time. So Jeff Nyarota is the one, Akamusumudzirawo, who actually raised this young man, right? So that he could ride on the shoulders of this investigative journalist and then become someone anone kerao. And no kuti masports ekuronga stardom akamira say. So I'm wondering there. So where does Jeff Nyarota sit there? Okay, and then also, sorry, Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah, shoot.
I have a question. Sorry,
all right.
Yeah. Before I look at the train of thought, you mentioned
yeah, please also accept co-hosting, because I think it's important for us to just open a few thank you. Shoot.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I was gonna say also I'm on lunch for the next another 10-15 minutes.
They will be helpful. Those 20 minutes will be helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm to leave it running from a specific room. That's fine. I wanted to ask you, Nyarota, and I watched Sister Justina interview on a Hopo, but didn't you say Nyarota interviewed?
No, it's Jeff Nyarota who interviewed Justina Mkoko. And it was Jeff Nyarota's program. It was Jeff Nyarota's website also, the Zimbabwe Times that he was running from the United States. Hopo was nowhere there. He was just hired to hold cameras only. He wasn't even to edit anything. It was just to hold my cameras. And the respective journalist, by the way, who is old enough to be both our fathers, he's in his 80s. I went to school with Jeff Nyarota's son, high school. And so Munu Mkuru Uyuyu hired this young man just to hold cameras. Hopo went on to delete his boss's voice from, could delete a voice ra Jeff Nyarota. Muridzi we project, Muridzi we of the news bulletin, and put his own voice. So if you go onto that YouTube account, you will hear Hopo's voice there. And you wonder, where does Hopo come in? Apinda papi. I invite Waere. Ayewa. Hopo was only hired to hold cameras, to film Justina Mkoko, and then go away. Chete. And so, and so, Vanyarota only discovered, because he has... Sorry, Hudu.
I couldn't hear you anymore, Simba.
Oh, I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
So I was saying Vanyarota doesn't have a background in broadcasting. He's a newspaper, a broadsheet newspaper journalist, right? News editor from the 70s. And so he was shocked to see, in actual fact, it was people who then alerted him that, do you realize your employee who uploaded your video, your interview with Justina Mkoko, has deleted your voice? So he even went and he replayed, and then he actually discovered that his voice had been deleted, and Hopo had appeared as if he is the investigative journalist over Justina Mkoko's story. So so that is the background there. And sorry.
Okay. Sorry. I wanted to say that is an important story again, that fellow Zimbabweans, it is important for you for us to learn to fact check some of the information that we get, especially from people who claim that they are better than the people that we have right now in terms of our political leaders.
And while we're on that, Hulu, sorry for interrupting. We said Comfort was said she's a bitter ex, right? And then Simba Chikanza was said he's a jealous journalist. Jeff Nyarota now was also said that he is jealous, right?
Lynn is here.
And then we've got my lovely sister Lynn, right? Akuman, my lovely sister.
She was blocked. She was blocked after she asked Hopewell to give proof of the resource allocation of a project that he ran.
A medical project.
Yes, a medical project that he ran in Zimbabwe, and he claimed on a Twitter space that my hands are clean. With me, every cent counts. Whenever they and he was saying that in order to portray people like Advocate Nelson Chamisa as people that cannot be trusted with money and things like that. He said, with me, every cent counts. And then Lynn asked him to say, okay, so can we just get the breakdown of the accounts of that project that he was sponsored to run in Zimbabwe. And he gave a link. He said, go to this link and you're going to see everything. And if you go to that link, there is completely nothing except just a statement which says Papa Chingono was involved in that project. There was nothing, no accounting whatsoever. So it became very clear. And after that, he blocked Lynn Stasia. That's what he did. He just went to block her. So let me just go back again quickly to the issue of Jeff Nyarota. For other people here, they might say, oh, but can Jeff Nyarota actually come here to speak for himself? I want people to know that, yes, Jeff Nyarota can come. But this is what Jeff Nyarota said. And I'm telling you what he wrote. He said, I no longer want to waste my time with Hopewell. Jeff Nyarota is now an old person. He said, what has happened. I understand, all these things, but I no longer just want to talk about this guy anymore now. That's what Jeff Nyarota, said. And this is Jeff Nyarota, like one of the foremost, celebrated journalists you can ever think of in Zimbabwe. Jeff Nyarota himself, it does not want even to talk about Hopewell anymore, because he's just frustrated by all these things that have happened with Hopewell. And he just feels like now that he's a man of age, maybe it's no longer even necessary for him to even talk about it anymore. But he is aware of it. I want people to know he's aware of it, and we communicated with him. So this is something that people need to do. You just need to check the basic things. For the project that he ran, Hopewell, in Zimbabwe, can he show the financials of that? No, he can't. He refused to show the financial statements of that project. For the clinic that he claimed recently that he's going to run, can he show you the financial statements of that clinic? And even the kind of hospital services, that he always claimed that hospitals in Zimbabwe, they don't have. And he has capacity to supply materials. Can he show you that? No, he can't. Can he prove to you that Nelson Chamisa misappropriated funds? According to his tweet where he claimed that if they can say anything and disagree to this, I am going to name things. Did he do that? No, he didn't.
That was a very bold statement. Very, very bold statement. Damaging.
Yeah. He did not show that statement. Can he show you any woman that was ever associated with him who speaks positively about Hope Chingono? No, he can't. He doesn't have, there's not a single one that he can come up with and say, look, but here is one that can be able to speak for me. Number 5, can Hopewell show you any of these names that he named drugs? All these big names that he named drugs. Can he show you evidence of any of these people, including Beatrice and Tetwa, for example, speaking positive things or even talking about Hopewell? No, he can't. You will never hear James Manyika talking about Hopewell. You will never hear the United Nations talk about Hopewell. But he's just going to tell you that the United Nations has invited only me among all the Zimbabweans that you know. They have decided to invite me to come and attend a session in Tanzania for the United Nations. For what significance that attendance will be to Zimbabwe? No, nobody can explain that. So this tendency of always wanting people to think that he is superior, he is better, he is rich, he is intelligent, he has got connections, he knows things that are happening in ZANU-PF and things, he has got connections at the Daily News, is complete lies. There is no evidence to all those things that he says. The only evidence you can find is Dr. Maboreke. You need to check Dr. Maboreke. I want everybody that is here. Go to Dr. Maboreke's timeline. Every third tweet you see there is about Hopewell. So it became convenient for Hopewell to say, I've got a doctor in Zimbabwe called Maboreke. And this doctor is going to be the supervisor of the clinic, which is going to be giving services to over 70-year-old human beings in Zimbabwe. He knows that Dr. Maboreke is his baby, so to speak. And obviously, Dr. Maboreke is going to be talking positively about that thing. Have you ever seen any picture of any patient at Hopewell's clinic? No. Any video of anybody arriving there for any hospital care? No. Any cancer machine there? No. Any renal machines? Yeah, he mentioned that he brought renal machines to Zimbabwe. Are they there at Dr. Maboreke's medical center? No. So, and yet he was accusing the Citizen Coalition for Change of not accepting the same materials for their clinics in Harare. He was saying that they are not cooperating with him because ZANU-PF did not accept them. So I would rather give them to the Senate. It was a lie, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you that. A complete lie. Ask him, where are those renal machines that he brought from the United Kingdom? Where are they? What did he end up doing with them? Because he claimed that he brought renal machines to Zimbabwe and he wanted to give them for free to government hospitals, and the government refused them. And therefore, the alternate was to give now to the coalition to change. The whole idea was to project Nelson Chamisa as a weak leader, to project Nelson Chamisa as somebody that is incompetent, as somebody that misappropriates funds, as somebody that is not leadership material, in order for him to therefore get money from donors so that he can then, project himself as an alternative leader in Zimbabwe. And yet he has got nothing solid to show any one of us. So it was a money-making scheme just for PR purposes, to claim that there are over 70-year-olds from Mavuku Tafara. We have selected 70 of them. We are going to run a lottery for all those others to come to a medical. Ladies and gentlemen, not even a single patient whose picture he can show. Remember when he claimed that our space caused him to drop the project. But can he show one single patient who arrived at that hospital getting any service? No, he can't. You know what he shows? It's Dr. Maboreke. Go to Dr. Maboreke's account. Maboreke himself cannot even show any video of any patient. He cannot show any picture of any patient. What Maboreke can only do is to retweet what Hopewell does, to project Hopewell as somebody who is a messiah, project Hopewell as something. So this is the doctor that feeds him with all that information you see Hopewell posting about, today at Salim Mugabe, I said it earlier for those who are here, today at Salim Mugabe Hospital, there's no electricity, there's no water. I can tell you this is the food that they ate at Paranato Hospital. It is Dr. Maboreke feeding him with that information. And then when he gets that information, he posts it on Twitter, and he looks like he's a very smart guy. So when he raises money through all these connections, that is the so-called connections, fooling people and things like that, He pays that doctor. He goes to pay that journalist. He goes to pay them a little bit of money there. Let me tell you something. Hopewell, when he was being interviewed by Gerald, this is what he said, Hopewell. He said that he has taken up the responsibility to take the children of his uncles, the children of his of his uncles to school and look after them. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever seen Hopewell? You know how Hopewell always wants to be seen by people. Have you ever seen him post a picture of a child with him? Have you ever seen him post a picture of any relatives with him? Any of his relatives to just say, okay, this is my uncle's children and I am with them, like what Tembam Liso does. You know, we can accuse Tembam Liso of many things, but we've seen Tembam Liso with his children. He goes with them to a restaurant. You can see him walking around with his children. Now you have got this journalist coming onto Twitter and telling us as if we did not go to school. And he tells us that I am responsible for paying school fees for my uncle's children. I'm responsible for paying school fees for my relatives' children. And I'm responsible for bringing medical facilities to Zimbabwe. He doesn't show you any picture of those things. Not even a single picture. Yet, when he goes even to Maputo at a beach, he is going to show a picture of himself. Even though some people say, oh, that is even an ugly picture. But he will show you that. When he goes to Tanzania, he's going to show you that. When he goes to the United, anywhere, wherever he goes, he shows you that. But what he cannot show you are these things that he talks about. He cannot show you all those things. Comfort?
Thank you. I know a lot of things, right? My background is I was trained in security, and one of the things that I really want to emphasize for Zimbabweans, I want to shout out to one of my favorite brothers, who is a man that reminds me that we have hope in Zimbabwe. I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm seeing he's listening, so thank you. When brothers like him are in the space, and I'm my champion, I feel safe. You know, we need our men to protect us. I just want to say this. I think we're going to realize as Zimbabwe that we are dreaming of the moment we start interrogating and asking questions. Simba, I think there's something that you said before. See, there are some traits in Robert Gabriel Mugabe that a relative had said, how did you miss this trait? This is not about dehumanizing Hopewell. Let me tell you the kind of person that I am. When I realized that Hopewell was lying to me about not being in another relationship, and I found out that he was actually in a long-term relationship with my best friend's aunt. But instantly there was instant justice because I've been through a lot. But I also had a desire to be in a relationship with someone from home that I could respect. And the picture that was painted to me was that he was that. I think I want you to listen. It's not about dehumanizing you. I don't hate you. I love all my brothers and sisters. That is why when we were at a CCC event in DC last time, I actually took care of you when you had food poisoning. And I remember Simbashkans are calling me and chewing me. Why would you disrespect yourself? Because I am still that woman. I still nurture and take care of my ex-husband, who in his young age, he didn't know any better. He was even physically abusive to me. But right now we are co-raising children together, and I still respect him. In fact, you might see me posting pictures with my ex-husband, and you might be confused. Yes, he abused me, but I believe in still loving people. Hopo went on. I'm going to address you because I know you're here. You went on to use screenshots where I was sending you messages even after you lied to me. And I was writing messages about you're still loved no matter what. I wasn't saying I love you no matter what. No. Right after I realized that you were lying, I walked away from that space because that was the moment many women started coming to me, right? So I don't want us to mix this up with I'm just an emotional person.
And tinoda the other side is side racho hopo unoratidza side remachatsi of one of the other iwo toda kuona ako iwewe hopo.
Yes, I have my deleter, So that's fine, Simba. What I want people to ground themselves in is in the in the ways salad, in the ways of killer tea. Okay, I'm just loving that phrase right now. The thing is, this is not an emotional thing, a bitter X thing. I don't want it to be minimized to that. This is a very serious case of sexual misconduct by a person in a position of power, by one grown man who is sliding in the DMs of very young, vulnerable women by an evidence of. The second thing I want to address is I'm paying women to make his name look bad. That is a false accusation. Again, if I had that much taste for Hopewell, I would not have continued conversing with him. And even when set on the same platform in DC, and he got food poisoning, and he obviously didn't trust a lot of the people that were there. He trusted me, even though he had hurt me. I did not stop talking to Hopewell after he called me and told me about his plans to run for office. I did not even share that. I did not even record him. I could have recorded and do my V11 since my Zimbabwe my V11, but I didn't do that. Where I stopped talking to Hopewell was when he called me and asked me to lie to his long-term girlfriend that he didn't know me. I'm not going to be a liar in that way. So there's a lot of integrity things at hand. And then I want to bring us to as my lunch break is coming to an end. I wanted to bring us to a big picture. The reason why I have continued to talk about this. In some ways, I'm putting myself at risk because I'm opening a can of worms about myself, which I really normally don't want to do. I like to post things about my cooking mbora and my kids playing. I don't want to go into my personal, but the reason why I'm making myself a sacrificial lamb, which I know some of my brothers can be ruthless and I can take those bullets, is because as Zimbabweans, we are in a very critical place in our country where I will even pose this rhetorical question. What if Triple C as we know it, and Nelson Chamisa as we know him, has been destabilized and weakened by Hopewell? We saw how Hopewell was pretending to be supporting Nelson Chamisa. What if a person like this is able to destabilize a whole opposition party that we are holding hope on, and he's planning to replace that? Can you imagine someone like that in a position of power? And he can. And that's why Simbash Kanza was saying to ZANU-PF people, you should watch Hopewell. Because Hopewell can replace ZANU-PF. Why? Because we have shared a lot of things. For me personally, I would like to see a different Zimbabwe. I would like to see a Zimbabwe where we actually ask the people that are aspiring to be politicians, the people that are aspiring to do some government in exile type of scenarios, the people that are wanting to be a vehicle or to lead a vehicle that can raise in the millions of dollars because they are going around the globe on our backs, right? Oppo is not just going into these places and getting Al Jazeera awards. I don't know what those awards are for anyway. That's besides the point. He is using the pain of Zimbabweans to get into these doors. And those doors are attached with a lot of funding. That's my thing. I want fiduciary responsibility. And the only way you get transparency and fiduciary responsibility to be on the open is to actually interrogate the character of someone. If you can lie to your partners, if you can lie to the women and drug them and sleep with them without their consent, how are we supposed to believe that you're going to hold responsibly the funds that are going to come? That's number one. The last point I want to say is I hope that as Zimbabweans, like I observe a lot. I observe that knowing that my brother Simba Spanza was working on Al Jazeera, I think maybe 3 out of the 7 or so years that he worked hard on this project, I saw Hope watching one on SABC almost claiming the gold mafia. And I called Simba immediately and I said, Simba, what what business does Hope Ochinono have talking about, even opening his lips about Al Jazeera? And I think I made the mistake of posting something and he caught on to that. So he started to distance himself. But it's people like that who try to take, and I'm who try to take on, they just want the glory when they have not put the work in, right? Who can try to take down a man like Nelson Chamisa, who has worked hard up to this point, taking the torch from the late Save, and he's got the crowds on the ground to just water down that kind of movement. For me, that's a very dangerous person. A man who can mute. We have to get to a point of
and mute his own headmaster who saved his career.
We have to get to the point of critically analyzing. I think that's how we're going to avoid another 44 years of bondage, right? I think for me, that is what it is. I'm looking at the big picture. It's not about I'm a bitter ex. It's not about I hate Hope. I don't hate him. I would have coffee with him, except I would watch my cup very closely or I would buy my own coffee. But I'm saying this to say, from the places of everything is just drama and social light and my titi and madam boss. So that's not what this is about. This is not just about Simba Kanza, because I see the comments. This is a much deeper issue, and I hope we treat it as such. With that being said, guys, I'm late for my lunch break, so I'm
Mzadmayenda, can you just repeat what you said, please, if you can? I'd like to see a Zimbabwe that is free of daddy, but something like that. I felt like that is really powerful. Please repeat that as you shut.
Yes, in my lifetime, I would like to see a Zimbabwe that is free of daddy characters who create themselves in front of us. And before we know it, we've been groomed collectively and we're actually hero worshipping them to a point whereby when problems like this come up, we actually defend the perpetrators who have called themselves daddy. Because the psychology of a daddyism is very powerful. That is why you saw millions and millions, Americans, British, all over the continent, people flocked to another daddy called TB Joshua's synagogue, right? It is powerful. So I dream of a Zimbabwe where we can question authority respectfully, where we can actually be asked to question authority without being blocked, without being called names, degrading names, Maure, Mabita X. All that stuff doesn't move me. What I want is accountability and the removal of the daddyism. I have my own dad, he's late. I have my brother as well, my dad is now. I don't need a daddy. The daddyism must be a culture that needs to be gotten rid of, Simba. And with that being said, let me go back to my seminar. Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Wow. Oh, thank you very much, Njadzi. And Njadzi Comfort is she's such a flame. I remember when for me, my walk in 2022, was it? Yeah, it was around 2022 when she popped out. It came from Zimbabwe, and upon arriving back into the diaspora, she called me and she told me, "Look, immediately, Simba, you need to see what I've seen about Hopewell. Hopewell is not who he says he is." And I remember that call was like 30 minutes. At that time, I still feel ashamed of myself that I didn't fully believe her. I knew certain things at that time about Hopo that were dodgy, but I didn't get to fully appropriate how dangerous Hopo is. And when you're hearing it from a woman and you're a man, your first instinct is to be biased. So I started being biased against her at that time. And I think people will remember up to around 2021, 2022, I was so supportive of Hopo Chinono because of the fact that he appeared as if he's exposing corruption and was positively contributing to the community, to society. Now, it would take me a few weeks after that certain things would emerge. I remember Comfort's statement to me was like, one of them was, "You need to go and talk to Grace Mfuruta." And apparently, guess what? Just like so many other people, I'd moved off from Grace Mfulutsa. Why? Simply because of that video. And this should be a lesson for our community, because when a woman speaks, our society has tended not to want to listen to women. When Grace Mfulutsa shot her video 4 years ago, many, including myself, didn't believe it. Many felt like she was being cruel. She was being out of time. Why are you saying it now that he has been arrested? And that was one of those questions. And it turned out that Grace had actually been talking for years. Just go on a timeline way before that incident. It's just that we only got acquainted to that video at that moment where she ended up having to explode further details. But comfort is that yeah, she is one person who helped me, one of those people who have helped me to understand the dangers of the daddy characters. And one of these people, by the way, one of these women is Jean Gasho. Now, Jean Gasho was so affected by these daddy characters that I think it's even taken her time to really recover, even up to now. But she was also one of those women who blew out since 2012 against the daddy characters. One of them who later on got convicted in Scotland, and then also Hopo Chingwono tried to exchange Jean Gasho with, when he falsely claimed that he's coming to film a documentary when he just wanted an affair with Jean. So quickly, I'm just appreciating there our sister Murozi Madama Surase.
Nakera, my brother Stanza.
Aiwa, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, I was paying a lot of attention when I heard my brother Ulu talking, and always talking from his heart. And that's one thing that I like about him. My sister Comfort, you were just talking about her. I almost had a privilege to meet with the person, though we are living in the same country. But in 2019, when we which I didn't attend mainly because I had a lot of reservations. Sometimes when things are not done the way I see the good of the future out of it, I tend to, do my personal politics that I don't want to associate with that. I'm very much encouraged and motivated by women like my sister Comfort. She's done a lot for mainly women, and not just the women at large, but the women who have been disadvantaged by some of us guys who take advantage of them. I'm one guy who, fight for women and men to be on the same path, and I'm a father of two girls, and I always tell them that you are equally the same like men in all the privilege, because you go to school from grade 1 all the way, and they sound to be picking that clearly. I try to push them for them to fight for themselves, to stand up strong, so that when I'm not there, because I'm not going to be there for them all the way through, they must stand up for themselves. But I must appreciate the likes of my sister Comfort. We have been communicating very close for a long time. I like her sincerity, which is one of my passion about human beings, the true human beings. So I normally say, when I encounter a human being who is taking a platform to fight for other people, that he or she is not related to, but they want the welfare of those people to be respected, to be honored, to be given the opportunity just like any other human being. I truly, truly respect that. I've been privileged to meet some very respectable people, like what my sister Campbell said, the late Isave, Morgan Changirai, and I had the privilege to host him as one of the leaders here in the US. And the humbleness, the simplicity of the leader that many, the majority of Zimbabweans who were either on the fence or on the side of the regime, fighting him, butchering him, dehumanizing him. They started talking highly about him. And for what reason, I did not understand why. But when he was fighting for them and all his followers, they were dehumanizing him. And when I'm saying that, I want to talk also about my brother, Simbachi Kanza. I know very well, especially when I had a very close working relationship with Mr. Simbachi Kanza. It's during our MDC Alliance, from MDC Alliance, later on we went to Triple C. And one thing I like about my brother Simbachi Kanza is he's not aligned to any political party. He's a man who is standing on his own platform of fighting for Zimbabwe. This is how I've gotten to understand him, because at times when I'm working with him, I want him to come on my side as MDC Alliance Triple C. He's saying, no, I don't work like that, but we must work for the people of Zimbabwe. I respected that, and I had no fight with him, because I'm sure he might also have seen that I believe in propelling the platform for Zimbabwean people who have been suffering for the longest time ever. So I respect you for that, my brother, Simbachi Kanza. And having said that, one thing that I just want to talk about a little bit is the sentiment from my brother Wulu, yourself, my sister Comfort London. And I'll put it in brackets. It's about us Zimbabwean people. Whether it is Hopewell, whether it is Mrozi myself, whether it is the Comfort Londo or whoever. People who manipulate fellow citizens, fellow Zimbabweans, gain are not good people. There is a very fun language in Zimbabwe, which I sometimes learned over the years. The terms like Big Bossman, Chibaba, Mbinga. I don't associate with those words. I don't like those words, because they build a different person out of just that kind of language. And that language is used by people who want to gain something out of someone who has managed to put himself or herself on the higher level above other people. And that, to me, is what is destroying us as a people. And I liked when my sister Comfort was talking about PDD, why he's called that kind of a name, the big guy. And he, at the end of the day, whatever he touches or he approves or he says, people associate that with big success. But what is shocking me as Muroji is that people rally where they see the opportunity of propelling themselves. It's nothing to do with PG. It's nothing to do with this related in a push of forming a government in exile and what they do this and that. I always talk to my colleagues, like whenever people are speaking, whether it is on the road, whether it is in life, I always tell them, my late mom told me something that, you don't be too ahead of your colleagues. Don't be too behind your colleagues. Move with them. When you are moving with them, you are discussing issues. You hear what they say. They hear what you say. But when you are too ahead, you are going to be lonely. And you are not going to be aware of what your team is discussing, is sharing with others. When you are too behind, the same thing. But we propel the things that are very, very manipulative because we want to benefit as quickly as possible. And this goes back into real politics in Zimbabwe. And also why we are in the situation that we are in, which Simbachikanda sometimes is castigated for even this platform that we are having. And I've attended quite a number. I just, wanted to say a few words today, but the point is we must interrogate every Zimbabwean who is coming to this platform of trying to lead us. Who are you? What are your intentions? What is your background? How have you interacted with other fellow Zimbabweans or your community? Who are you? Do we know you?
All right. Yeah. Moroji, 30 seconds.
Yes, my brother. Let us be very serious about the words that my sister Comfort mentioned, that we must love each other. No matter what one is making mistakes on, about, but let's love one another. But we must always interrogate to find the truth and who that person is. That person should never lead us the wrong way because we are just nice or we love someone. No, we must know who these people are because we must be tired of being led the wrong way.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Brother Moroji. Those words are really important. They're really important. Do you still have something a little to add there, Moroji? Did I cut you off? Moroji, is it fine? Moroji, can you hear me? Simba, can you hear me?
I think I can hear you, but I think he's off.
All right. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I just want to play, an audio of Hopewell himself promising that he is no longer going to be talking about Nelson Chamisa. And this was in a space that was run by Salani. And listen up to this.
Give us the date. The date.
I won't say anything again about Chamisa and his leadership, but you're still following me to attack me. Why? Okay. They comment about Chamisa. Hey, I won't say anything again about Chamisa and his leadership, but you're still following me to attack me. Why? Right. For those who are good at checking the dates, you know when he ran this space with Salani, and you can now be able to go to his timeline, and you will be able to see there how he immediately continued to speak, about Nelson Chamisa and criticizing Nelson Chamisa. So that's where you find out that the intention of coming up with the government in exile, the intention of coming up with this whole idea that he is going to have capacity to run a clinic was merely to promote his name. The intention was to fool all of us so that we start to think that Hopewell has come up with a project which is better than Nelson Chamisa, a project which is better than ZANU-PF. But the reality of the matter is there is really nothing there. It is merely Hopewell having a few of his individuals there, giving him information about those silly things. I mean, not silly as such. We all know that the conditions of our hospitals is dire. We need better hospitals. But it is not true. I can tell you that. It is not true that there are no cancer machines in Zimbabwe. They are actually there. But when he exaggerates some of the things, Hopewell, he is simply getting the information from Dr. Maboreke. So you see, that doctor that he was mentioning there is the one feeding him with that information about hospitals and all that. Sometimes you ask yourself, how come almost every third day he has to talk about a hospital and things like that? And you wonder, where does he get this information from? He gets this information from the name that he gave to us, Dr. Nyasha Maboreke, the man that he claimed is going to be the supervisor of the medical center, which he claimed that you are going to see patients going there to get medical assistance. And he never shared any evidence whatsoever. So I want, as you go home today, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Zimbabweans, to ask yourself to say, for those who have got a habit of saying, I had that, Simba Chikanta, all this space was opened in order to attack the guy personally, and things like that. But check how he himself is posting about even Simba Chikanta himself. Check how he is posting about Nelson Chamisa. Check how he is posting about Idi Mnangagwa, the president. Now, I don't have a problem with somebody criticizing a leader that has got a political party. We do it to Douglas Monjora. We do it to Jacob Ngarivume. We do it to Linda Masarira, and etc., etc. But as soon as Hopewell also said now he has got his own baby, that is the government in exile. As soon as he said now he has got his NGO, now he has got his clinic, we have an equal right, just like him, to ask him, show us the proof that there are doctors who left the United Kingdom. That's what Hopewell said. He said that he even has doctors who are going to go to this medical center of Maboreke. And those doctors, they are going to be attending to their patients. He never showed a picture of those doctors. He never mentioned their names. And yet he said he had spoken to the government of Zimbabwe and they have okayed the project. They accepted the project. All of a sudden, he comes with an accusation to me personally, because that's the audio that they were playing. That by simply saying that if Hopewell's clinic is going to succeed, we must therefore show that to others. We must then encourage people such as Advocate Chamisa to learn leadership. We must encourage people such as President Mnangagwa to learn leadership from Hopewell. By saying something like that, and I said I am going to go to the hospital, he didn't want me to go to that clinic. Immediately he said, I give up. And I'm no longer going to run that project because I was running it using my personal money. The intention there was never to use his personal money. The intention was to project himself as a philanthropist. And after doing that, all those people that he name drops and NGOs where he pushes himself to Tanzania. You see him in Maputo. He's now going to say, look, I've got a clinic that I'm running. Give me money. Give me money. I've got a clinic that I'm running. And they now give him money. And as they give him money, he does what many people accuse ZANU-PF of doing. He pays Dr. Maboreke. He pays that journalist. He pays that other journalist. And when he does that, he is capturing them. As he captures them, they give him content. The content that he now has to tweet on social media. He's now going to tell you, oh, I know there is what did he say recently? He was saying that the fingers which made a mistake. A newspaper in Zimbabwe made a mistake by saying rest in peace to President Mnangagwa. And he says that, oh, I know already the CIOs have gone to that house to check on these people, and he's already now at State House and all that. So what he does is, he pays that one, pays that one in order to just get content for Twitter. Not anything of substance. Anything that Zimbabweans can rely on and say, here we have a leader working with others. So when he was working with Advocate Nelson Chamisa, he was simply duping him. He was fooling him. So that at the end of the day, he gets hold of knowing the goings on in the Citizen Coalition for Change, so that he can just use that information, to gain more contacts. So more and more people will give him information that he can now post on his Twitter account. And when he posts those things on his Twitter account, he gets engagement out of that. And that is all that he wants. Hope Chingono is just a social media person. That's all. He has no intention of bringing any meaningful change to Zimbabwe. He has no intention of anything that is of substance. He knows that at the moment he's going to claim to know somebody, Sophie Mkwena from South Africa, that journalist from South Africa, she's going to trust Hope Chingono. And as she trusts Hope Chingono, she's going to give Hope Chingono some information about South Africa. And as she gives him some information about South Africa, he tweets that information. And as he tweets that information, he appears as if he is much greater. He's a greater character. He's something. Then he can make a call. He can make a call to a United Nations representative in Tanzania and says, you know what, I'm an investigative journalist. Look at my profile. Look at the people that I talk to. Can you accept me to come there to attend? Then when they say, okay, you can as well come here. When he arrives in Tanzania, he's going to tell you, you know what, guys? I have been invited by the United Nations to come to Tanzania to represent Zimbabwe. Any normal human being who has gone to school after grade 7, ask yourself a simple question. Why would the United Nations, having a meeting in Tanzania, call only Hope Chingono out of all the journalists in Zimbabwe? Why would they do something like that? You ask yourself that simple question. You will see that they will never do something like that. It is Hope Chingono who initiates that. He understood this issue such like Wicknell. You have seen Wicknell Chivayo taking a picture with Nelson Chamisa, having a picture with Morgan Tsvangirai, having a picture with VP Chiwenga, having a picture with President Edith Mnangagwa, having a picture with President Robert Mugabe. He knows very well that he can use that picture. He can use that picture, to project himself as somebody of importance. Now you find out that when he meets a police officer, he's simply going to say, look at this picture. This is me with President Edith Mnangagwa. Do not stop me at a roadblock. Let me pass. When a tender comes in, he's immediately going to say, look at me. Look at this. This is me with President Robert Mugabe. If you don't give me that tender, I fire you. And he's talking to somebody that has got no information. He's talking to somebody that is giving a tender in a municipality. That's how they get these tenders. That's how they end up getting these tenders. That's how they end up getting these awards. That's why you see him attending all these meetings and you wonder, how does he get money to attend a meeting in Maputo? Now he's going to Tanzania and all that. He's duping these people, fooling them. You saw Wicknell immediately when he got that opportunity to take a picture with the president of Tanzania. He did that. As soon as he got an opportunity to take a picture with the president of Uganda, he did that. He knows that by doing that, that is already investing in his lives. And as he invests in his lives, that is how his bread and butter is going to come from. His bread is going to be buttered from there. He is going to get money because the moment somebody is going to see Wicknell Chivayo with the president of Tanzania, he can go to Conor McGregor at Wembley Stadium and say, look, this is me. This is the president of Tanzania. This is the president of Zimbabwe with me. This is the president. Now it becomes easy for Conor McGregor to trust Wicknell. Hopewell is doing the same. The moment he takes a picture at the United Nations, he says, look, this lady next to me, go to his timeline. This lady next to me, she is this and that of the United Nations. We had a meeting and I had to explain to them the situation in Zimbabwe and things like that. Honestly, Hopewell explaining the situation in Zimbabwe as who? Is he a government official? No. Does he have a political party that he's running currently? No. Does he have workers that he employ that we can see? Nothing. He only has got cheerleaders such as this doctor that he's always talking about. There are many doctors in Zimbabwe. How come all the time when he talks about a doctor, he talks about Nyasha Maboreke? Only one doctor. Then you go to the account of that Nyasha Maboreke on Twitter. He is only tweeting Hopewell's things and retweeting Hopewell's things. He's Hopewell's cheerleader, a whole doctor running his own medical center. If he was genuine and he was a respectable individual, do you think that his whole Twitter account is about Hopewell? He can't tweet about his surgery. He can't tweet about cancer. We have Rutendo Matinyara. Rutendo Matinyara is talking about cancer or what is it? A glyphosate or something like that in the Millimel, in Chibataura and Palenda. Now, Dr. Maboreke, as a medical practitioner, you would expect that he should be talking about those things. He should be commenting on his Twitter account about those things. Go to the Twitter accounts of other doctors. You will see that. Even nurses, you will see that. They talk about health issues. Now, we have this medical emergency where there are reports that INSCO is actually taking off some of its products because of what Rutendo Matinyara is saying on social media. Dr. Maboreke's account is quiet about that. What you will find on Dr. Maboreke's account is Simba's Kanza heads. You, Simba's Kanza, you interviewed me 2 years ago and I did not know that you were recording. Hey, Hopewell is a good man. Hopewell likes this. Hopewell is like this and that, like that. He doesn't talk about his patients.
But he doesn't talk about. He can say that I recorded him out of context, but he doesn't state anything about the 50,000 sports car loan. He doesn't state anything about the money that Hopo Chingono clearly announces he obtained from the UK to buy that home, that CPT home.
Yeah, just to add to that, you will notice that we do have Dr. Skilled Rebara on social media.
Yes.
Go to Dr. Skilled Rebara's timeline. You will notice that Dr. Skilled Rebara is always talking about health issues. He tells you about what kind of foods that you must avoid. He tells you about, the type of, that's what he does. He's a medical doctor, Dr. Skilled Rebara. And he's going to tell you about those things that have to do with, the health of the community. Then go to Dr. Maboreke's account. Nothing like that appears on his timeline. It's all Hopewell. And that is the doctor that Hopewell will say, conveniently, sir, this is going to be the supervisor of the clinic. And then after that, you don't see any evidence whatsoever that the clinic ever worked, that the clinic has got any equipment, that the clinic ever got, has got a reception where patients are arriving, where that lotto system that he mentioned, he said, the patients are going to be selected using a lottery. Now, you will not see any evidence. Those who play lotto will tell you that they even go on TV and they show you how they select the numbers. No, so those things are not there. That is why Lynn Stasia asked the question. You ran before these clinics. You ran another project about Save the Children, so blah, blah, blah. Can you show us the evidence that you are better than Nelson Chamisa? The accounts of that. He didn't. What he did was giving a link to Lynn Stasia, and Lynn Stasia goes to that link, and we all followed through on Lynn Stasia, and we found out that that link had nothing at all, and he blocked Lynn Stasia and blocked all of us. Now, now what is that? What is that really? You say you are the alternative. You are better than Nelson Chamisa. You are better than ZANU-PF. Surely you should be able to do the most basic. What you promise people on Gerard space, that I account for every cent. Nelson Chamisa embezzled some funds. That's what he said. Show us the evidence. Zero evidence. Now for you then, who is better, show us the evidence of your accounting systems. No evidence. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand the fact that for every project that you have, there are what are called incomes and expenses, and there are what are called assets. You need to have assets. Whether you get the asset from a loan book, whether you go to the bank to borrow the money, or whether you even get a donation from somebody, or you make your own contribution of money to that project, it is going to be the asset that you have because you own that. Now that asset can be accounted for. So if you tell me you are going to be giving free services at a hospital, and I want to know what are the assets that are there at that hospital. Of course, that is the cash asset that you're going to use to buy the equipment. What equipment are you going to be using there? He never wanted me to get to that. He never wanted me to go to the clinic. Immediately he says, no, I give up. I no longer want to run this thing because they are going to threaten the doctors. But how do I threaten the doctor? By simply saying, I want to see whether what you told people on a Twitter space is true, is really happening. Now you find out that there's nothing at that clinic. It does not have all those things that he has mentioned. The doctor that he talks about as the supervisor of that clinic is a cheerleader of Hope Chingono on social media. Yes, he is a doctor. I can confirm that. But I'm saying that on his account, the only thing that doctor does in the main is to promote Hope Chingono's things. And clearly by doing that, it shows that the doctor is captured. So if you are going to, ask Tino Machakaire, the Minister for Youth, to speak about President Mnangagwa, who is the head of government, you surely would expect Tino Machakaire to speak very nicely about the president, because that is the president that is there. Now, if you are going to tell me there's a Dr. Maboreke who is running your clinic, and yet the same doctor is a cheerleader of your tweets, and 90% of what he tweets on his timeline is Hopewell Chingono stuff, then surely, you cannot expect that doctor to go against Hopewell Chingono. You can't expect that. So this whole thing about this is personal, this is attacking the person and all that, I've seen people talk about that. But I want to ask, but that is what he does with Nelson Chamisa. He says, in the interest of accountability, transparency, I want you to know that Nelson Chamisa is incompetent because of 1, 2, 3. That's what he does. Why? Because Nelson Chamisa ran a political party. Now we now have him. Hope Chingono is running also his own political movement. And because he's doing that, we need to use the same standard that he's using for Nelson Chamisa also on him. The same things he says about President Idi Mnangagwa, we must say for him as well. Because now he is like Douglas Monzora.
I mean,
He's
my
like Linda
evidence,
Masalia.
while we're on that, my evidence shows me very clearly, and this is the evidence that that Al Jazeera we used when we were constructing the gold mafia, which even the producers thanked me for over that, shows that Hopo is actually more corrupt than any ZANU-PF person, and even more dangerous than any imaginable ZANU-PF person. And that is how deeply, deeply dangerous the evidence shows that Hopo Chingono is. And so for any media, and this is my role, Hulu, also even tonight, I'm trying to help the public, particularly people who are rape complainants, to understand the context around some of what you also, Hulu, you've struggled to pick to incorporate into your programs here. How it is that media companies are continuing as if everything is normal, and they are not asking Hopewell on these basics. And so in my case, I'm alerting people, victims who might have thought that simply because Al Jazeera flighted him as an anti-corruption activist, then he cannot be questioned. I'm letting you know that I am pursuing these cases against Al Jazeera physically. I'm doing it with every fiber of my being, every dot of the blood that the Creator put into this body, so that I can ensure that this matter has been dealt with in a way that protects the rights of complainants, particularly rape complainants, over Hopo Chingono. But I was just saying there, Hulu, Hopewell he has clearly proven himself to be more corrupt than any imaginable ZANU-PF person. Thank you. Corrupt on money issues, corrupt on money issues, corrupt on money issues, right? Corrupt on money issues.
There is a question.
Yes.
Yeah, there is a question, Zim I. There is a question that many people always ask to say, oh, if you have got in fact, there is somebody working on behalf of Hopewell who is a YouTuber. And the guy went on to try to dismiss all the allegations against Hopewell and claiming that all these allegations are personal and there is no, there's no credibility in people who are making all these allegations and things like that. I just want our people to take note of what is happening in the Ukraine. If you look at the Ukraine and the corruption of the president of the Ukraine, has the United States and Europe turned their backs on Ukraine? No. Look at Israel, how Palestinians are being bombed out of their lives, how they are bombing Lebanon and Hezbollah. Have you ever heard the United States raising a finger? No. Now, for those people who say, if you claim that Hopo Chingono did something wrong in the United Kingdom, how come you cannot submit a docket to the police in the United Kingdom so they can pursue this? Guys, I want you to understand that these countries, the way they operate, is very, very funny in terms of geopolitics. As long as you do not threaten, you do not threaten their interest, they can choose not to investigate you. Let me give you an example. Many of you today have seen Wick Neal at Wembley Stadium in Britain. Is this not the same Wick Neal who is, fingered in the ZEC scandal? Is this not the same Wick Neal that is fingered in the Gwanda Solar Project? Is it not Wick Neal who caused Mike Shimombe and Moses Mpofu to get jailed in Zimbabwe? You would think that the British would arrest him. We saw him in the United States of America. You would think that the United States of America would arrest Wick Neal Shivai. But they are not doing that. They are simply not doing that. Now, if they are unable to arrest Wicknell Shivai, and yet they actually are not in good books with ZANU-PF, how much more do you think that the British will have the stomach to arrest somebody who claims to be an investigative journalist, to arrest somebody who claims to be representing the downtrodden and the masses? There's no chance. There's no chance. So if any lady is going to come up and say, look, this is what this guy did to me, they will simply look away.
But could I correct you on that, Hulu? Just to say,
Yeah.
I mean, from what I know, I don't want to comment over the operations of the law enforcement in these countries, but I want to say that the manner in which the criminal justice system works in the UK and also in America is different from the way it is in Zimbabwe. In Zimbabwe, you notice that, and this is a fact, by the way, particularly in Zimbabwe, when you have done something in Zimbabwe that is corrupt and that is suspicious, you are most likely to be arrested in Zimbabwe immediately than you would in the UK or in America. And I'll say why. You will notice that the way the police have been criticized in the Rotten Row courts and the like has been on the topic arrest to investigate or investigate to arrest. ZRP has been accused of arresting to investigate. So in the West, their police systems have reformed to the extent that they will only arrest after investigating. So when you see someone has been finally arrested, the file will have matured. It will the entire bundle will have matured. And when I mean matured, I'm talking about every form of charge around that person has been put together. And then you see something spectacular happens, like what has happened in the States right now. When you see this gentleman has now been arrested. If you look at it, it wasn't as spectacular only until just now when he was then arrested and then denied bail. They had already been investigating for a very long time. But during that time, Hulu, we were not following because we tend to follow the spectator. To us, a case only exists when we see a police officer handcuffing someone. But we don't know how long it takes to investigate. So I don't want to say that these individuals that we're discussing here are being investigated or they're not being investigated. I'm trying to just simply educate our community that do not be intimidated simply because you haven't yet seen someone in handcuffs. Yeah, do not be intimidated. Continue speaking, continue exposing. If something is wrong, it is wrong. There's a case, by the way, hold on, Hulu. There's a classic case. This is what one is important. I think, let me pull up the link here. It's of a police officer in the UK who was working. I mean, Lynn knows this case, I'm quite sure, and those who are in the UK will know this case of a police officer who was raping female police officers and other females, and even killing as well, committing murder in this very same period since the year 2000 for nearly 24 years. This police officer was doing it. He was working in London for the London Metropolitan Police, and he was also a police attaché to embassies and to VIPs. This man was almost scot-free, and yet he was raping women for over 24 years, nearly 24 years, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull up the link so people can see. When his file was finally matured, right, that's when he was then arrested, charged, and the like. And this case is now almost, you could almost call it case law. in the UK now. Of course, they are regretting that they took too long a time to apprehend him. But these are some of the delays that can happen in the West. And I think also that the delays happen because society has tended to put a blind eye when particularly women are being abused. And that's why we are calling on Zimbabweans, and these programs are being run here so that whenever something, even an accusation, even if it's Simba Chikanza, hear me, Zimbabweans, Hulu, I'm giving you permission. If there's any woman out there who comes out, even just one woman, random woman, even if that woman is fake, and they accuse Simba Chikanza, did you hear me? I'm giving you permission. And all the people here who accuses Simba Chikanza of grooming and then raping them, or even just grooming, listen to me, Hulu, you must hold a space every day until I have been brought before the court of law. That's what our community needs to do. And I'm giving people permission here. By the way, I'm not perfect as well. So people should know. So I'm ready for the consequences.
Yeah, Brother Simba,
yes, Bruce.
before Brother Ulu comes in, you have raised a very, very important point there.
Sorry. Just open your microphone, please. I think you're covering your microphone so we can hear your voice a bit louder. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
It's getting better. Just keep on blowing. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Into the microphone.
Okay. So I just wanted to say you have raised a very, very important point there, especially in our case as Zimbabwe, because we have a crisis of a multicultural when we deal with some of these issues. And this is also the reason why we tend to have so many arguments. And at the end of the day, we don't come up with anything tangible to do with all these legislative meetings that we are trying to resolve some issues. So what you raised there is very, very important. One of the major issues to do with whether UK or USA, especially on big people, they don't apprehend them as quickly as they would do tomorrow. Because it is not going to cost them a lot of money or anything when they apprehend me when I make a crime. But someone like Didi or any other people who call themselves the daddy for grooming or whatever it is, or our in the China, Kobe, you know. So what they do is they also look into the monetary issue. How much these big guys are prepared to spend in the courts. And the local government or the government itself, they don't want to spend that kind of money because these guys have very serious money. So they wait until they have very solid ground. And when they go, everybody will be shocked. Like, how could this be happening? It's just like what is happening, just to give you an example, to support what you just said there. There are many African women who are coming from Africa going to the Arab world. And they are being treated like crap, like nothing. And I can tell you for a fact, because some of the friends who are in my department of security and all that kind of stuff, they are following. Nika in America, UK, all these democratic countries, they are following, especially with the issue of human rights. They are following and they are recording. The time that they are okay to go after that, as a country, maybe America, as a country, UK, as a country, Poland, and so, they will be having solid facts against that country that this is exactly what you are doing. And this is not right. And they will know from right there that that African country that is having the women who are being abused and all that kind of stuff, the issue to do with dogs and women and all that kind of stuff. They will be having valid reasons. But if they look into the monetary sector, how much they can lose if they are to lose. And if they are to win, That's when they will go, when they have the facts together. I just wanted to add on that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Murozi. And for our listeners, our audience, I want to thank you for joining us today, because I think it is always important when we discuss these issues together. And again, I mentioned that no one among us is holy. Nobody is an angel. But as soon as you start a political party, you must expect that people will critique whatever you promise them. And by the way, let's also say happy birthday today to Lynn Stasia. It is actually her birthday, and we wish her many more years to come. It's wonderful that she's a Zimbabwean, like many of us, and our people. We must be able to celebrate each other. And if it is your birthday, you must also tell us, so that we can be able to celebrate you and celebrate the work that you do. But there is honestly no reason whatsoever that a person like me, for example, I can be jealous of Hopo Shingono. I don't think so. I honestly don't think anybody that knows me would wake up and think that I can be jealous of Hopo Shingono, that I can seek to destroy his reputation without. It can happen. It can happen. Some of you who have known how I have tweeted at the beginning when I joined Twitter, you will know that I was still learning Twitter then. And there are things that I'll tweet, and I told many people that I've stopped tweeting that way. Like attacking somebody personally and all that. I grew to learn on Twitter that is not right. I shouldn't be doing that. And I have evolved from that. I have developed from that. I have grown from that. I've learned from that. So when you hear me talk about Hopo Shingono, it has completely nothing to do with him as an individual, but it is in defense of responsibility, accountability, and transparency. The hallmarks of what he himself actually claims to stand for. So I want our people to understand once more the fact that there is no transparency without accountability, and there is no accountability without responsibility. In fact, you start with responsibility for you to reach to accountability, and then transparency comes only at the top. So there's no one who can account when they are not responsible. Responsibility is basically, if I would define it, it is basically doing what you're supposed to do. That's what is called responsibility. So if Hopo Shingono goes to Gerard and say, I am going to open a clinic, being responsible means he is supposed to go and open a clinic. He should not be lying to us. Responsibility means doing what you're supposed to do. If I promise somebody that I'm going to bring you a cake tomorrow, and then that I need to be responsible for making that statement. It means I need to bring a cake tomorrow. So if Hopo says I'm setting up a government in exile, and after 1 week after that, or a few days, he changes and he says, no, it is an NGO. He has the responsibility to prove to people that it is an NGO. So when somebody asks him to say, who then is the leader of that NGO? Hopo Shingono has the responsibility to respond. Responsibility is where we start, ladies and gentlemen. You start by being responsible. That is doing what you're supposed to do. So Hopo Shingono, when he went to Gerard, what did he say? He said that the government in exile is a proposition I'm making, and I am not going to be the leader of that. He was asked by Gerard, are you now the leader of this political party? He said, no, I am just throwing it out there, and anyone can be able to run with it. Ladies and gentlemen, to me, as somebody who went to school, it means responsibility. He has got the responsibility to his own words. What did he say? Anyone can run with it. So that is what we take from him. But he goes to Salani and he says that this, government in exile. It's not a government in exile. It is a non-governmental organization. It is going to run a hospital. And that hospital is going to be supervised by Dr. Maborek. Now, as soon as you say that, he was asked by Salani to say, but is it politics? And he said, everything is political. Everything is political. You cannot run away from politics. His own words, right? So as soon as you tell us that you are going to set up a clinic, I am not going to be talking about accountability, guys. I am talking about responsibility. You are responsible for the clinic. That's the basic. That's the beginning. Accountability comes when that clinic starts to operate. That's when you account. You can't account for something that does not exist. So he said, I will set up a clinic. Then he tweeted after that and said, the clinic is now set up. We are going to take 70 people from Avuku and we are going to use a lottery to get to our patients. Now that's when accountability kicks in. Accountability, what does it mean? If I'm going to define what accountability is how easy is it for somebody who is not you to know what you are doing? That's in simple terms, that's how I can define the word accountability. Being accountable means another person who is not you must know what you are doing. So if somebody says, my father is accountable for everything that he does, it means that there's somebody who is not the father who can vouch for what the father is doing. If somebody is going to say, the RBZ is accountable, is accounting now in parliament for what they are doing. It means parliament as a separate body from the RBZ is capable of confirming what the RBZ is doing. That is being accountable. If you are unaccountable, it means there's nobody else apart from you who is able to speak for you. Even Jesus himself said, I do not speak for myself. My Father who is in heaven speaks for me. That is being accountable. Accountability is about another person that is not you. Transparency is something else. Transparency is something else. It has to do with something bigger, a higher authority, the one who is responsible. So, for example, if Zimbabwe itself is going to host a SADC meeting and somebody says 1.7 billion was used for the roads and the preparation of the SADC meeting, it does not matter whether you hear it from Tino Machakaire or you hear it from this minister or that minister. People want to know what the president is going to say. When you talk transparency, you are talking about the talk. You are talking about the main actor. So Hopewell Chingono must be transparent, must make it easy for people to be able to know what is going on at that clinic. Because he is the one who started this clinic. He must make it easy for us to be able to see what he's doing. So accountability, transparency, and responsibility are all related. They're all related and their definitions are almost intertwined, almost similar. So it becomes necessary for Hopewell himself then to be transparent, to open up the books so that we are able now to say, look, he started his clinic and this is how he ran the clinic. If you are actual things, these are terms of parking services in Harare, and they are not remitting that money to Jacob Mafume. And because of that, I now want my national eye security to take over, and it is going to remit that money to Jacob Mafume. Now, that is even better because he's putting a figure there. Now, so if Hopewell does not want to put a figure there, he doesn't want to put people there, now you ask yourself, how can an organization now, where we were all told that Nelson Chamisa is a one-man band, we were told that Nelson Chamisa is a dictator, we were all told that Nelson Chamisa does not consult anybody, but here we are, you have your own clinic, but it's only you talking. We do not know who is your financial director. We do not know who is the chief executive officer of that clinic. We hear the word supervisor. The word supervisor. That is something that is so unacademic. Using the word supervisor to say Dr. Maboreke is going to be the supervisor of the clinic. We use words such as the chief executive officer, the managing director, a director, you have got workers, you have got all that in terms of an organogram of an organization. So if Hopewell Chingono himself is still using those very outdated words like a supervisor, then how different is he to those ZANU-PF people he accuses to be unsophisticated? He's going to tell you that ZANU-PF is not sophisticated. ZANU-PF is backward. But he's worse than ZANU-PF. Can anybody, apart from mentioning Hopewell as a name and his agent, Dr. Maboreke, can you mention two other names or even one other name that is in that project of the clinic? No, you can't. Why? Because they are not there. So there's basically no one running that clinic except Hopewell. So if money is going to be donated to that clinic, you know to which account is it going to go? To Hopewell's account. And to which other account is it going to go? To his supervisor, Dr. Maboreke. Now it becomes very easy. Hopewell does not need to take any responsibility. He doesn't need to account to anybody. And he doesn't need to be transparent. So at the end of the day, everything starts with Hopewell. Everything stops with Hopewell. So he cannot criticize Nelson Chamisa and says Nelson Chamisa is a dictator when he himself is working by himself. You saw him in Tanzania. He's by himself. Now Maputo, he's by himself. The project of the clinic, he's by himself. There's no any other individual in the mix. You know why he's afraid of other individuals? Because he operates exactly like what Comfort Dondo said, like TB Joshua. He operates like Walter Magaya. Sorry to say that, but that is the truth. So in other words, Walter Magaya is the one. If you want to meet the prophet and you want a one-on-one with the prophet, there will be no witnesses of what is going to happen in that room. If you want to have a one-on-one with TB Joshua, there will be no witnesses. That's the reason why many of our people were saying we do not even want our president to take pictures with Passion Java. We do not want to see our president taking pictures with my TT. Why? Because people feel that the moment you are sitting with Wick Neal or with my TT or with Passion Java, what happens there is something between you and them. And yet you are a head of an institution, and that institution has a bureaucracy. It has got individuals who are also working with you, and they are supposed to be witnesses of the things that you are doing. That is why even the disciples of Jesus themselves, they say, we are witnesses to the things that we have seen. We have seen this man preach in the synagogues, and we have seen him teach and heal the sick and perform miracles. We are the witnesses. So now you cannot have a scenario where I run an institution with no witnesses. That's why Wick Neal Chivayo is a dodgy character. You've never seen him with his employees. You've never seen him giving an aqua to his accountant. You've never seen him saying, this is the HR manager of my company. I am going to give them a Mercedes Benz. You know what he does? He looks for Sandra Ndebele and he gives Sandra Ndebele a Mercedes Benz. He looks for DJ Masomele. He gives DJ Masomele a BMW. Both these people are not his workers. Both these people are not part of his institution. And by so doing, it means we cannot take responsibility of anything that happens. He cannot account for any of those things. He cannot be transparent to anybody because he is the one that does everything. And besides him, there's no any other witness who can say, you know what? I was there when he went to Victor. I was there when the money was generated from 1, 2, 3. Now, this is the challenge that we have, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the part where you see me getting involved. For those who might not know me, I hope maybe today, talking to you again at length like this, you might have an idea of me in terms of what I seek to see in my country and why I have supported Simbaj Kanza and Comfort Dondo after I interviewed them first. I asked them, guys, explain to me your story. I'm listening. And I'm going to go to Hope Watching Ono's timeline and study what he says. And I'm going to explain, to understand. Because I'm also a student of semiotics and semantics. In terms of a word, when somebody uses a word, and I can follow it through with the word that they used the previous day, the word that they used the previous month, and to see if there is any connection to that. And I can attest to you that when Comfort Dondo spoke to me, when Simbaj Kanza spoke to me, when some of the people related to these issues of hope spoke to me, I personally can believe them because I could follow their logical argument. When Hopewell is tweeting, I have never managed to follow his logical argument. Let me tell you this. What is it that makes it difficult for Hopewell to appear on a space like this one and challenge Comfort Dondo's allegations? Nothing stops him. He's always on Twitter, but he chooses not to. You know why he chooses not to? TB Joshua, he will never come to face a lady that he has abused. Walter Magaya will never appear. Look at all those ladies that were accusing Walter Magaya. He will send his bodyguards to deal with them. He himself will never be part of it. That is when you understand that there is no responsibility, there is no accountability, and there is no transparency. When you are afraid of facing your accuser, if I know the truth, how can I be afraid of Comfort Dondo? And I cannot just come here and say, you know what, this is the truth. If Simbaj Kanza has been talking rubbish all along, why Hopewell cannot appear on this space and say, look, the 50,000 you are talking about, this is how I got it. The CAPS loan that you're talking about when I bought my house in Sibiri, this is what I did. And, all these accusations about Grace Mfuruta, this is what happened. You know, it's done. He can just appear on this space and challenge Simbaj Kanza, and it's over. But you know what? He doesn't want to do that. He wants to go and speak somewhere on his own space. If you follow him there to say, okay, I want to engage you there, he will refuse. He doesn't want. Now, yet he wants to challenge ZANU-PF. He wants to challenge Nelson Chamisa. Now, you can see that that is the actions of a deadly character. I mean, those are the actions, sorry to say that, those are the actions of a deadly character. Those are the actions of a prophet character. Those are the characteristics of an individual who will always have questions above their head. I'm not surprised when General Chiwenga now says corruption has now become a threat to our national security. It is because as long as we fail to take responsibility, accountability, and transparency, it becomes very difficult for us to have witnesses who can be able to speak our language, to have witnesses who can agree that indeed, I know this person, I know this deal, I know this tender, I know this business, I know these workers, I know this profit, and I know the tax that was paid, and I know where the Aquas, I know the BMWs, I know the Mercedes-Benzes. No one is able to witness that. And that is where we are at, fellow Zimbabweans. That is what is collapsing our Reserve Bank today. Because John Mangunda speaks by himself. You saw when they tried to to go onto some town hall and asking people questions. People were asking them genuine questions. You have Kuta MTC, you have got another one called Kutanai again, you've got Professor Gift Mugano. They are always posting and telling the Reserve Bank what to do. You have got ordinary Zimbabweans telling the Reserve Bank what to do. What does it do? It does the opposite. They don't follow what the people are doing. And as they don't follow what the people are doing, Guamatanga, you are going to hear reports that Guamatanga has bought 12 houses in South Africa. Those are allegations, but people are putting even the street names of those houses. And the same person is not listening to what Gift Mugano is saying. He's not listening to what Kutaiмкis is saying. He's not listening to what the other guy is saying. Now, clearly you can see that you are hiding something. If somebody is going to say, I'm at the Beira, port in Mozambique, I see granite from Zimbabwe, I see coal from Zimbabwe, I see diamonds from Zimbabwe, and all that, for example, being shipped out of the country. Then somebody must be able to come and stand and say, yes, these are from legit companies, and these companies are doing 1, 2, 3, 4. If our government's information services are not able to do that, then you leave us, the citizens, to speculate. People are speculating, and when people speculate, you create a situation of chaos. Because that is what Nelson Mandela correctly described then when he was speaking overseas about Zimbabwe. That I see the death of leadership in Zimbabwe. Because leadership is not just something that you are going to have on your own. Because leadership, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Zimbabweans and fellow Africans, leadership is a culture. If I follow Lynn Stasia, for example, I begin to behave like Lynn Stasia. Today, on her birthday, I told her that she's the one who taught me the word Ndati. Like Hulu stop it, Ndati. You get that? Now, the moment I continue to communicate with her, to learn from her, I am going to start behaving like her, tweet like her, and say things like her. That is what is called a culture of doing things. It's like a way of doing things. It starts to be similar. So if the leader of our government is going to lead by example, that is what people say, lead by example. You will see that the deputy president will lead by example. The ministers will lead by example. The MPs will lead by example. If Jacob Mafume is going to allocate land in Harare in a proper manner, where you can be able to find councillors like Duma, who unfortunately got arrested after speaking against it. Duma spoke against it and got arrested. Mike Chimombo spoke and got arrested. So what I'm saying is, but what did Duma say? Duma said it is the municipality that is failing to take responsibility. Now the municipality, when it is faced with that question, they are unable to account for what they've done. So they can't be transparent. Now you can see where the problem is. You have no witnesses who can vouch for you to say you are a good leader. That's why I've said to some of my friends that when you see me tweeting positively about Nelson Chamisa, it is because Nelson Chamisa got 1.9 million votes in the previous election. It is because Nelson Chamisa has got Chibaya. He has got Ostalos. He has got many other people who believe in his leadership. And these people are there even when he says, I've resigned from office. As long as these people are there, it means that they derive their culture, their way of doing things from a leader. The leader's capacity is to influence how we behave. So as we behave according to the way the leader expects us, we become like the leader. Even Jesus said, you shall be like me. If you believe, you shall perform better miracles than me. You can do the same as I do.
My brother Ulu.
Yes, Muraji.
Just saying something that touched me right there.
Okay.
When you talked about Amos Kibaya and all the people around him and Chamisa, and we are talking about the true leadership that continues. Same like when we had Sabe Morgan Changirai, when he was gone, the lieutenants around him, the followers of him kept going because they followed the leadership. What you just said there is very, very important. And as a people, sometimes we must note what the others say. So what you just said there is very important for me. You mentioned this during the week. Ostalo Sindiva, Kibaya, and many others, what they have proved is the leadership that they have had. But we know very well from what you just said, 1.9 or 2 million, that's a serious population of voters in a country. Because if we have about 5 or 6 million Zimbabweans who are voting, and someone is getting that number of people, it must be taken very serious. Very, very serious. And that is why,
Rosie,
right
you are going to see, that is why you're going to see that when I am going to be inviting Joshua Maponga III to my space, one of the last questions that I'm going to be asking him is, Joshua Maponga Marara Vutijena III Maponga, when you die, how many others are likely going to run with your beliefs? Because the most important thing that people need to understand in leadership is the fact that you cannot be a leader without people. You cannot be an MP without voters. You cannot be a president without ministers. So no matter how intelligent you can be, there must be people who must believe in your leadership culture, your way, the way in which you do things. If the way in which you do things lacks responsibility, lacks accountability, and lacks transparency, then those who follow you are likely going to do exactly the same. So if I'm going to be asking Maponga on one of my last questions to say, when you die, how many people are likely going to live in the mountains and charge their phones on weekends in town? Then that becomes a question that I would want him to answer. Because at the end of the day, if you die with your own ideas and nobody else buys into your ideas, then it means you were never a great leader. For you to become a great leader, you should be able to have subordinates, people who look up to you and say, I believe that the way he is running the country is the way that we should be running the country. So if President Idi Mnangagwa is going to step aside today, how many among the subordinates are likely going to say, I want to run the country in the same manner in which the president was running the country? And if they are there, then what it means is they have learned something from him. And the question is, how sustainable is the manner in which we are running the country? Because we have already seen, for example, the Zeke. It is part of that legacy of the president. That the
before you continue,
is facing challenges in the market. Morozi?
Let me finish this little thought. Because you are triggering my mind a lot, and that's why I never stop following you, my brother Hulu. And before I finish my thoughts, let me just say happy birthday to our sister Lynette. She's one of
she's called Lynn, not Lynette. Lynn.
Yes, Lynn. Lynn, yeah, Lynn M. She's one of our colleagues in our fighting for our Chapa, for our Zimbabwe, that I respect because she is not fighting for herself, but everything that she does is for the people. And I'm saying it just to agree with you that we must celebrate with each other. And knowing the efforts we must celebrate. Besides the efforts of those who are undermining the whole of the country for their personal benefit. Let me just finish my thoughts by saying, you have mentioned very provoking thoughts in here. When you talk about leadership, when it is gone, what are the people going to do after that? And we have just started talking about what Amos Baya, Osalo Ziva, and others are doing. And when they are doing what they believe is for the people, and we see the people rallying behind them in huge and serious numbers, they are threatened with their life. And that's very, very, very unfortunate for whoever is believing that is leadership from those who are threatening others, especially after the fight that we had in the 70s with Ian Smith. Because Mugabe himself, the icon of ZANU-PF, died aligned to us, the Democrats of Zimbabwe. And it's very unfortunate that the regime is very silent about their icon. I don't see anything to do with the 21st movement. I've been one of those people teaming up with all the Democrats of Zimbabwe here in the US to go and demonstrate against Mugabe. But we all turned out to support Mugabe when he died like a pauper in Singapore. And that's not what we want. That's not what we want of Emerson Mnangagwa when he's gone, not to actually get the respect that my brother Hulu is saying. What are the people going to say about Mnangagwa when he's gone? We don't want someone like Tibayo without any one single employee behind him. And he's saying he has got a company that has made millions of dollars. And when he's using like these artists and all kinds of stuff to give them benefits so that they can amass the people. We must change as a people. We must look back in the 70s when we had our 70 Mrenga, what we fought for. What our beliefs? What's our culture? What do we stand for as a people, collectively? People should not hate Mnangagwa. People should not hate ZANU-PF. But what are we fighting?
Yeah.
They are like jigging everywhere in Zimbabwe. When we drive around the mountain, it's like destroyed completely. But what are the benefits of that community? It is zero for the benefit of Chinese. And let me tell you something that have really, really, really destroyed my soul. Chinese people treat so-called black people like nothing, like trash, or like the waste in the toilet. And we treat them like everything. And that is not right.
Thank you.
And those who are together with the regime here in this space that we are hosting with the Zimbabwe chicken, it is not about us fighting as a people. But we must come together as a people as to what are we fighting for? What do we want? What's the benefit of us as the citizens of a blessed country called Zimbabwe?
Yeah, thank you, Maloti.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'm going to be handing over
thank
Simba
you
shortly because I think Simba.
Yeah, the time is look. Yeah, thank you so much. Really, thank you, Hulu. This has been such an important space. I think we should probably needed a bit of ample time, ample notice. I'm thinking of the next one over this because this topic has not ended. It has to continue. I want to continue to have these throughout the week. And I was thinking of tomorrow, Hulu. I don't know what you think, or shall I make it Tuesday? Because I want to make an advance one, so that more complainants and victims can come up, because yeah, we have identified that there's a need here for people to feel welcome to speak out. And this is in light of the number one, the bullying and harassment, and also the distractions that this individual or these individuals are throwing at people so that they don't speak out, and particularly these women, falsely accusing them of this and that. Yeah, so I was thinking of tomorrow evening, or we could make it Tuesday. Maybe let's make it Wednesday night. What do you think, Hulu? Wednesday, could do another one here, and we'll try and circulate it, and so people can come back again. So what exactly is this? Yeah. So this is
it
Sorry?
is possible. We'll talk outside the space.
Thank you. Yeah. So what this is, just so that I help people. I am suing Al Jazeera Media Network, a company that contracted me in 2019 in January, when they were claiming that they're out to expose corruption, and they told me that their commitment is that. And at that time, I had two options to either work with and for them, or with and for the BBC. And during that time, there is a part of the contract that they did not fulfill. And that contract was not an employment contract, it was a business contract. And even though it had an employment element in it. And so I have just gone through one stage of the court process, and this has been through the employment tribunal. And it is a stage that I had to go through because there were some documents that they withheld, which were extremely important. And I needed to shake them up a little bit. And so I'm now going to the next stage. It's not just one stage, it's many stages. There are multiple courts that I intend to approach over this. Because they have not just a contractual responsibility, they also have a moral responsibility. And what they have done in this period is the opposite of what they contracted. They promised me they were out to do in 2019. To expose corruption. What they've done is actually to promote one of the greatest corruption of the continent, and that is in the name of Hopo Chingono, someone who admits even in public to evidence that he has corrupted the Zimbabwe National Army. Number one. Number two, someone who already introduces himself to the public as a daddy character, that is, as a rapist and a daddy. This is basic science that is out there. Daddy characters are rapists. They've been proven so for centuries. And then on top of that, someone also who has been using journalism, evidently using journalism to cover up other nefarious things that include the movement of illicit money between countries, and beginning with the purchase of his Chisipiti home. He has in the last 12 months finally admitted that he bought it from illicit money that he obtained from the United Kingdom in the form of 50,000 British pounds, contrary to what you were saying before, that he bought that house from a cab's mortgage. But quickly, why am I doing this? This is number one. It's part of the contract that I had with Al Jazeera. It's a business contract. By the way, I'm not just a normal journalist, an ordinary journalist. I operate. I'm a businessman, also in this industry. And what they've done has hurt my business. It has also hurt my community. This man has gained power in the face of very clear protestation, not just by me, but by many other Al Jazeera employees inside the institution in this period. They have gone on to promote him. They've participated in giving him an anti-corruption award, a UN anti-corruption award, and that really stinks. And in a way that has prejudiced not just our country, but the continent, because this is someone who is evidently corrupt by his own admissions, by his own statements, by his own introductions to the public. And this man has participated in damaging a lot of people. We're not just talking about women here. He has corrupted the Zimbabwe army. He has even stated so in the period. He has also participated in dividing society. Yeah, and dividing the community, causing so much commotion, so much hurt in the community, to the point of later on even boasting that he is more popular than both Emerson Mnangagwa and Nelson Chamisa put together, boasting so, and arranging people using social media to perpetuate his daddyism. Daddyism is very, 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 very deep and dark. And now, even right now, the current days that we are in, they are evident. The events are evident with the refusal of bail for this other daddy character in the States called Puff Daddy, and so many others who have been convicted in recent years, who include the another daddy character who was convicted in the UK, who Hopo Chimono participated in trying to exchange the main complainant, the victim, and lady called Jean Gasho. People can Google Jean Gasho, Hopo Chimono, and they can see this account in 2014, where Hopo Chimono worked to disrupt another court process, the prosecution of another daddy character called Walter Masocha, and he falsely introduced himself as on a journalistic agenda to interview this particular complainant, when in actual fact what he was after was an affair, or it was to abuse this lady, as she alleges in her account. So we're seeing here corruption. A media company called Jazeera Media Network that contracted me in 2019 when I didn't even want, by the way. I didn't even want. I had no clue who they are. Well, I knew them, but I didn't even know where their offices were. And they used my work and evidently to make this daddy character appear as if he is someone who is an anti-corruption activist. And this man has also been boasting, using his boasts to lure women online. Boast that he is going to be meeting the owner of Al Jazeera, the Emir of Qatar, and using those boasts to claim that he has got so much power. And it's damaging. It's not just damaging to me, my professional life, my business. It's also damaging to the public in general. It makes the community a very dangerous place for women. And it is deplorable that a media company did this. This is what it was for. So those people who might have seen some documents flying about, those documents are just the beginning of a very, very big case. And Al Jazeera was just trying to say, oh, you can't approach the employment tribunal because you are not an employee, because you didn't have an employee number. When, of course, it was against their own statements. But whatever the case, that was just the beginning of many things that are to come. And so if you are a victim out there, do not be intimidated by Hopo Chingono if he has lured you. And some of you might not know that you were lured to his home because you didn't hear him saying, come to my home, but you just felt compelled, and then you started sending messages of love. That is what is called grooming. Groomers do that. They use pictures. So when they show pictures of themselves with whiskey and beer behind their kitchen walls and on camera, and then show off. They talk about wealth. They show off the life of a single man who is all powerful, who all knows everything. That is grooming. So if you find yourself then sending messages of love, and then Hopo Chingono will then tell you that, oh, if you expose yourself, then it's you who's going to get in trouble. No, 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 no. It's him who gets into trouble, because that groomers are people who have been manipulated. So your mind, you didn't know that you were actually groomed. You didn't realize who this man was. And you didn't realize what was happening in your mind. He was working on your mind so that you would eventually make a decision to go to his home and then be abused. So lastly, just wanted to say that to those who are following this and wanting to know the facts, if you Google a lady called Grace Mufuruta, Hopo Chingono, you notice one of the first whistleblowers, Grace Mufuruta, Hopo Chingono falsely accused her of being sent by ZANU-PF to a media outlet called Gambakwe. Grace Mufuruta never went to Gambakwe, never at any time. This is a fact. And she has never gone there. Grace Mufuruta has actually worked under me, by the way. People didn't know. She never went to Gambakwe. Gambakwe only took her video, chopped it, and did it for his news a day later, after she had shot a live video. But you see, Hopo Chingono keeps on repeating claims that she was sent by ZANU-PF to that media outlet. Now, this is only evidence, further evidence of how many falsehoods this man continues to throw off here, falsely accusing political parties. In this case, he accuses ZANU-PF on something that has got absolutely nothing to do with them. It's all about him, what he has done and has been doing, and many of those things which Grace Mufuruta gives witness account over. Folks, it's been a night. It's 9:26. We're gonna need to shut. Hulu, thank you for the your amazing love for the people. We feel it, and Muroji as well. Thank you for your fatherly heart for the masses. We've got one of our directors in an NGO here, Farai Magu, also doing great work in the country, Manicaland, and exposing the looting of our resources and the like. And everyone who's participated, Comfort Dondo, she's played a big, huge role here, braving out against a male who is beastly online, and having to shield so many attacks against her person. Lynn as well. Lynn has been accused of being this and that, but you ladies, Jimima, you are the mothers of this country, and the role that you're playing here is honored. And I know one day people will remember you, and I'm quite certain on this path, Hulu, that Zimbabwe is going to be a better place now with this clarity that is coming to sustainship, because you never see Americans getting to congregate like this, and to and maybe that's why they always hit their community is always hit by daddy characters. But
very much, Imba. Thank you very much for the show, and I also want to extend my sincere thanks to fellow Zimbabweans and Africans who have attended this space, and for those who might think that we hate our hope, I can say it is part of life, but I think there are many other people who listen and they take things to mind, and they will fact check some of the things that have been said, because I think that is the only way you can be able to, to challenge any statement, is by checking that statement and also checking the statements of the other party. So as he makes his own statements about other people, then it becomes also necessary for you to just double check, the credibility of the information that he puts up there. And especially when you become a leader of a political movement, because the moment you become a leader of a political movement, you're opening yourself up to critique, and people have to critique some of the things that you have to say. And the main takeaways that I want people to remember, Simba, obviously, is the issue of taking responsibility, taking accountability, and being transparent transparent in the things that we do, and that leadership can never be regarded as leadership when you have got no any other individual that is influenced by you, any other individual who's saying, I know what he's talking about. I know how he's running the clinic. I know how he is supplying medicines to Zimbabwe. And I am here. I'm a witness of all these things. You cannot be the only one who knows everything, the only one who engages with everything, because the moment that happens, you become a dirty character, similar to religious leaders who molest people, religious leaders who rape who rape women, religious leaders who abuse people without any consequences. How many of them have been arrested? If people are going to talk about, oh, you must submit a docket for this, you must submit allegations of this and that. How many of those religious leaders are in jail now? TB Joshua ended up dying, and he never went to jail. So it is important for people to understand that we must raise the alarm and we must provide information. And when you have information, you have power, because information helps you to make decisions. When it is up to you in terms of what sort of decisions you are going to make, as soon as you have got that power, which is the information that has been relayed to you, the information that has been relayed to us. So Simba, once more, thank you very much, Zimai, and for the audience, thank you very much, fellow Zimbabweans, and good night. Simba, you can close it.
Thank you, folks. Much appreciated. Yeah. So Wednesday we'll do another one. Wednesday, please do page mark.
We may do another one on Wednesday because we still need to arrange it right.
Absolutely.
So
and market it.
Substantive promise of a Wednesday.
Yeah, well, there are things that are happening in Hulu, and it's really it's like this is now life and death. This is why I'm saying these things. Even today, I didn't want to do today, but the matter is deeper than we think. And what these people are doing is deeper than we think. Remember, Dr. Maboreke had promised to come last time to converse and to stop and to stop Hopo. Remember, he even promised that he was going to stop Hopo, right?
Yeah, he did it.
Yeah, you've got that on recording, by the way.
He promised, but he didn't. He
didn't. So these people are in they're in the dark world. Listen to me, Hulu. And as I told you before in that space the first time, they're going to achieve what they want until you folks really, really understand what you're up against. They are from the dark world. There are things that they've touched that you would never ever touch in your life. So they have a lot to lose. Yeah, and they're after getting
like what Simba is saying. We did speak to Dr. Maboreke, and he said that he was not aware that there is any politics to this and that. So he's going to be coming back to us. And
but he has since blocked me. He has since blocked me on WhatsApp now.
That's the thing. Yep. He said he's going to come back the following day. He needs to speak to Hopewell. And as soon as he went to speak to Hopewell, he never came back.
I knew it because I know Hopewell. I know how deeply corrupt Hopewell is. And Hopewell might as well just be manipulating those people, and they just can't see it. Hear me. Yeah. This is a man who, at the age of 17, manipulated his own headmaster. At the age of 17, you need to understand Hopewell Chimono's mental capacity.
Yeah, thank you, Simba.
Welcome. We're going to shut now. Thank you so much, folks.
Thank you. Okay.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.